What is up, everybody? What is up? How's it going, Hans? Gessick, how's it going? Hamvention is this weekend, if you can't tell. So, I will plan on being there this weekend. I'm probably going to be there 2 days, but, probably not going to be there for Sunday. Sunday kind of tends to peter out, but I do have to get Git set up with a Meshtastic. So luckily I have 3 of these tags. One of them I was going to be testing anyway, so I guess now is a good time to be able to test it in a high traffic area. So yeah. What are your thoughts on NIM? Is that an acronym? Or do you mean New York Mets or something else? Look, if you're giving me acronyms, you gotta actually, like, spell things out, because we could be talking about the same thing. Can't eat, so I'm doing whatever. Oh, can't sleep. Okay. But the MixNet, not familiar with it. Okay, let's see. Oh, no. Okay. Anyway, so something cool happened a couple of days ago. Actually, a couple of cool things happened. So, to catch you all up, as you know, I left my last job that I was really getting burned out at. It was so toxic, leadership. I had problems with a specific VP that was above my boss. I liked my direct boss. The person above my boss was giving both of us trouble, and we felt like it was a little bit of a prejudicial component in there. There's actually been a lot of evidence in there on various things. Like, there were friends of mine that have left the company since that have complained, who were women, that said it was like not just like, oh yeah, it was, yeah, anyway. So he actually got hot terminated end of last week. One of my I had 5 different people reach out to me when it happened, all just like, hey, did you hear? Did you hear? He got let go. And this was also the day after. No, that was the same day. That was the final day of the 2 weeks that my boss had, because he put his 2 weeks in to go get another job. Everyone's been leaving, so like you had a attrition of 5 different people. One of them was a director across several teams leave, and leadership finally looked at it and said, "What's the problem going?" Wait, did my stream just completely go derp? God damn it. Hold on. What is going on with Twitch? It's saying I'm not connected right now. Weird. What the hell happened here? I have no idea what just happened there. I just looked over and it died. I don't know. So where did y'all lose me? Because I was telling you about a couple of cool things that happened this week, and I just about finished the first one. No, it wasn't you. It was weird. It was only Twitch. Twitch was the only one that seemed to have blipped out, because I was looking over here, because I have like kind of a monitor to see some streams, and the TikTok one was still rolling. I didn't get to look at Kick or YouTube to see how that was. Let me see. No, YouTube kept rolling. It was just Twitch. Yeah, Twitch was the only platform that bombed out of all of them that I can see. Because, like, well, it's kind of hard to measure Kick in general because they still got to do some improvements there on a lot of their metrics and everything. But still, anyway. Okay, so where was I? Oh man, Wired, my bio is almost... it's almost the same thing. Alright, so... let's back up. Chief, come back to the previous ISP. I'm at the point where I might go back to Breezeline because I found out the issue is something totally different that had to deal with some weirdness inside of my specific network. Not because of the hardware or anything I put, it was just the weird constraints I'm dealing with. Once I get symmetrical bandwidth, a lot of these things are going to be solved. But anyway, so... the good news that I had last year, I'm going to be repeating myself to the ones that didn't have the stream die on their platform. Sorry about that. Okay, so there were two really awesome things. So we'll start with the other thing before I repeat myself. So the new job, which I'm really loving right now, been there for about... what is it? Yeah, that's about 3 months. 3 months right now. I've been at the new job for 3 months. The, I guess, director, I forget his exact title. I really should pay more due diligence to the, thing, but I've been trying to do my job. But anyway, basically, the guy above my manager, okay, messages everyone in Slack and says, hey, if anybody wants a bottle of bourbon or whiskey, come to my car around 10 o'clock. And the dude... he enjoys bourbon and stuff like that. He came in with, at his car, not into the office, with 4 crates of just like, and most of these were not even opened, bottles of whiskey, like really top shelf stuff. And then he's like, yeah, just take as much as you want. I have to clear out my cellar. And he's like, I still got like several crates more of this. So he's going to be coming back and offering us more. I took 5 bottles. I'm like, dude, you're offering? So, I've got... I can't really show it on stream, because TikTok and stuff, get kind of weird. But we got Chattanooga whiskey, which I was thinking I was gonna, try that tonight. We've got, the Balvenie, 12 years. And then we've got these 2 Japanese... ones. It's Nika November India Kilo Alpha. I got 2 of these. One's a coffee malt, and the other one I think is a coffee rye. Oh, that's the other one. Let me find that. Yeah, this one is a grain. So that's a grain whiskey. And then the last bottle, Kentucky Straight Bourbon. This was a small batch one. Like, it's got the batch and everything written on there. But yeah. These are all, like, really nice. And out of all of these, only one is already opened. And they all look great. So it's like, instead of choosing, I'm just gonna, like, go for the one that, is already open. So bear with me as I do Mission Impossible of pouring myself, shall we say, a little bit of soda. Where did I put the cork? Okay. There we go. I thought you were going to say we brew them at home. No, I don't moonshine anymore. I used to do that. I used to make some really freaking amazing moonshine. Problem is, need quite a bit of space and time and materials, and The whole thing about it being illegal, it's mostly because they can't get tax money off of you. It should be legal. Moonshine. Legalize moonshine. As long as y'all ain't making too much of it, it's fine. Anyway. You do asset governments. They told me it was IT. We make guidelines and compliance. Is it cybersecurity? Yes, it is. What you are actually doing is called GRC. Governance, risk, and compliance. You're literally checking boxes there for that role. They can call it whatever they want. A lot of companies will combine IT and cybersecurity together. I don't agree with that because while they are two sides of the same coin, they have a completely different outlook on a lot of different things. One can't work without the other, but the way the things we're working on are completely different. Best certificates to study as a beginner. Well, you're talking to a guy that only got their first certification, the CISSP, 12 or 13 years into my career. So, do with that what you will. By the way, l'chaim. And by the way, TikTok, folks, if anything happens to this stream, you know I'm on other platforms. We used to drink wine and such on stream a lot, but we'll see. Anyway. Let's continue on. Checking out. I think it exceeds Tor and I2P, but still new. I'd rather lean more towards, I'd lean more towards Valid. Valid, I think, is a little bit more promising and has matured quite a bit more and has a little bit more presence and backing, if I understand that correct. Should have fellow CISSP here. Yeah, that was my first cert I ever got. Did it for fun. I am definitely a bit of a masochist saying that. Although I want to switch to Linux, what should I choose? Casio, SP... Play with whatever. Okay, so here's the one thing I really don't understand. Maybe it's because I, started out when I was much younger with Linux, but I don't understand the analysis paralysis a lot of people get when they're wanting to try Linux. You see there's a lot of options. I don't know why people get stuck on I have to pick this one or this one. What I would actually tell you to do is play with them all. Find what suits you. There is no one Linux that is entirely better for absolutely everything. There are some that you're going to find are configured to your preferences a little bit more. There are some that are definitely niched down and focused on certain particular tasks. Find what works for you. Don't get so hung up on, I have to find that. But no, just play with a few of them. See what you like. And for a lot of the people that are like, which one should I go with? What is it? DistroWatch, I think it is a great place to go find what's the most popular ones right now. Look, I like Pop OS. I also use Parrot OS and Cubes OS, and then I use Ubuntu and Debian on my servers. I use Debian on one of my other computers. That's good for me. I like that flow. I may change that at some point in the future. Because, what was it, only a few years ago, I was mainly using Ubuntu, which is Ubuntu with XFCE. But yeah, just go and experiment. That's one of the great things about open source is you have choice. Let's see, continuing in... Spicy Network guy. What do you think about the recent wave of 0 days? What do you mean, recent wave of 0 days? Like, if you're really thinking that right now what's been going on, just because of the hype of AI, is anything new, we've been having 0 days for quite a while for a lot of different other products. It wasn't... Let me put it this way. if they're happening more than they were before, okay. But they were still happening quite a bit to the point that most people didn't care. It seems now it's because AI is the one doing some of the work now. Now people care. And watch. Give it a few months, even a few years as this starts to normalize. You'll see there's not going to be a reason. It's that whole perception thing. Like, in America, objectively, crime has gone down for many years. But subjectively, Americans think there's a lot of crime. Think about that. And a lot of Europeans. They think America is this extremely violent place and everything like that because that's the perception they get in media, because that's the hype. What do you think? They're going to tell you the good, fluffy news stories all the time? No, because that doesn't sell. That's not me trying to be a conspiracy. That's just knowing trends and patterns. News has to sell what will grab eyeballs. So, the fact that there's more tools out there that maybe has a little bit more accessibility doesn't change the fact that 0 days have been happening for as long as I've been in this career. As long as I've been on this earth, pretty much, give or take. Well, until I had conscious thought, because I think it was around the early aughts that it really started picking up. Although back in the day, viruses were kind of an art form with the crash screens they would create. It really was an interesting time. Early 2000s, late 1990s, IT, hacker, computer culture was a whole different beast. And the only thing I'm really upset about is I was really only just starting my teenage years when that whole scene ended, so I never got to see it at its glory days. Like, if given the opportunity, one of these days, look, in my retirement days, you're going to start seeing me look like serial killer from Hackers. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it was a 1995 movie with Angelina Jolie, and I forget what's his face, is it Matthew Lillard, I think it was? He's one of my, favorite actors you see in a lot of times. But he was serial killer. And he had these, funny little dreads and stuff. Of course, I don't have the hair, but I loved his little, glasses and stuff. But, this was, I don't know. Can we get, a whole, view? But, yeah, 90s... I think the 90s were one of the, maybe the best times. Maybe I'm just nostalgic because that's when I was a kid, but... Yeah. Look at that. I already walk around with a chain if anyone actually meets me IRL. So, it's just I can't rock that all day long, and go into a meeting. Chief took Fireball whiskey. Belvine is so good, you're gonna love it depending on what blend it's aged in. Rum barrel, super good. Belvini... This one is whiskey oak and sherry oak. So it was first in whiskey oak, and then it was in sherry oak. And it's the Belvini Doublewood. That sounds really interesting. Damn, that whiskey is really smooth. That's a small batch one. That's the kind I don't think I can buy up here. I might go down there to get it. I'm gonna have to say, this worth the drive. All right. Anyway, what are your opinions on CompTIA certs? They exist. They're fine for beginners. I have 4 of them because I took the tests all in February as part of my WGU bachelor's. I took the A+, Network Plus, Security Plus, and I took 3. A+, Network Plus, Security Plus, and then I also took the IPTEL V4, but that's from people, so that's a different thing. And I still got to take a few more as part of my bachelor's. I personally am not the biggest fan of them per se, but at the beginner, they're better than nothing. I do that with mead and wines, yeah. What's your favorite Linux dish? I think I answered that. It's Cubezo. I use I use Pop! OS primarily, Parrot OS, and Cubes OS, and then Ubuntu and Debian on servers pretty often. Doom 2016 is 90% off on Steam. It's now $1.19. That's great, but I already have it. I am a big fan of Doom, so I have all the Doom games, including the original ones. Taking Security Plus now, it's tough to understand a lot of the concept. Does it get easier? No, because here's the funny thing. I took the Security Plus back in February. Compared to the CISSP, dude, the Security Plus was a cakewalk. I didn't even study more than a few hours. I literally just flipped through the material, saw how they formatted it, and just to see what I was expecting. Walked out, and then I don't remember what my score was, but it was like 800 something. I more than passed. 800 something out of 900.
The thing is now chilling in the lab.
If you're going and getting a cert and you haven't worked in the field, it's gonna seem like a lot of work. But once you work in the field, it's cakewalk because you get it worked into your muscle memory. The problem that I have with CompTIA is some of the things that they say are the correct answers or approaches and all that, I don't agree with. There is some dated knowledge in there too, but you have to learn to do it the CompTIA way. What's your role in cyber? I am a senior cybersecurity engineer, currently working on CI/CD stuff and the CrowdStrike SME, and I guess you can kind of say they're switch hitter because I do a lot of different things when they need. What are certs that can make me the most money? You're looking at it completely from the wrong way. Oh, hold on. I guess you consider this as a celebration of VP getting fired. Yeah. Sikne, what's up? OSCP opinion? I mean, it's one of the more recognized certs. I eventually may want to take it myself, but I haven't. I'll do that after my bachelor's at some point. You can buy moonshine at most U.S. liquor stores. Not true moonshine. There's a lot of people that will label an alcohol and call it moonshine, but true moonshine isn't generally sold in stores. It's one of those you have to know a guy or you are the guy kind of thing. My great-grandfather, may they rest in peace, was a bootlegger and a rum runner up in New York. And there is a difference between the two. But yeah, like, if you go to, like, that, what is that, Old Smoky moonshine? That's freaking, like, water. It's alright, but it's just selling on the hype. You get true moonshine. Woo-hoo! We used to have to cut that and make our apple pie moonshine just so it was, not gonna, like, knock you out. I'ma say knock you out. Alright. What are certs that can make me the most money? Okay, so back to this. The wrong thing people ask all the time is, what cert will help me get the most money? No, certs don't work that way. Certs at most will check the box for HR to get you an interview for the job to make money. Case in point, my own career. Only 2 years ago, I've been in 15 years. Only 2 years ago, I got my first cert, the CISSP. I was already a security engineer by that point, long enough to get the CISSP. I applied for jobs for about 5 months, only with the CISSP, no college degree. And then I got the senior security engineer, but not particularly because of the CISSP, according to my manager. More so because of my GitHub and the ways I answered questions and things like that, and I did well in the interview. But the week after, or the week or two after the interview, was when I passed the A+, the Network Plus, and the Security Plus. And the ITIL 4. And there's also been a lot of situations, even up to this point in my career, where I've asked managers, compared to the other candidates on paper, how qualified was, and they'd say, you are less qualified on paper than the other candidates, but in person and just, you know, the other work you do, it shows a lot more, like, because they could go through my GitHub and then see documentation, they could see architecture, they could see code design, they could see a whole bunch of different stuff. They could see, you know, with the various projects that I've done, not just on GitHub, with the knowledge, and when you look at the resume, the different things that I, you know, have actually had experience in. ITIL snore, am I right? Yeah, ITIL is annoying. Plot twist. He poisoned the bottles because he wanted to cut on staff costs. I guess it makes sense. So I should get Doom 2016. Doom 2016 was a pretty good Doom. I think Doom 2016 was the remake that I really enjoyed, and if I'm not mistaken, was the one that brought on the spirit of Doom 3 that I really loved. Dumb question. I'm going to switch from Kali to Ubuntu. I'm going to give myself a headache trying to learn the newest? No. They're both Debian-based, so a lot of it's going to translate, but you're actually going to have less headaches. Colorado 360 Days of Sunshine is a good brand of shine. Most moonshine doesn't really have brands. It's, you bought it from Jim. You know what I mean? Hannah Montana Linux is the best. Hannah Montana Linux, Justin Bieber Linux, also known as Bebian, another acceptable choice. And then I think, what is it, Rebecca Black Linux? Those are the great meme ones. If you're a Linux, switching to Linux, switch to the main branches, SUSE, RHEL, Ubuntu. That's pretty good advice. What rack should I get to put my Power Edge R620 on? So you can do this a couple of ways. You can go and get a nice standing rack or a 4-post rack or that. There's a lot of different choices, depends on your situation. But what you can also do, a lot of people don't know this, in many cases, look up the IKEA LAC rack. It's a thing. Depending on the weight of your servers and equipment, you can use an IKEA LAC table with a little bit of reinforcement as a rack for a few use. Really inexpensive. Costs you like $10-15 plus additional hardware for reinforcement. And if you have a 3D printer, that helps out too. Where's the Wi-Fi driver? Not okay. That problem. Okay. That's an OpenSUSE Leap. That's the rolling release one. Yeah. I don't know how I felt about that, but I mean, OpenSUSE was a pretty solid distro when I used it back in the day. Some of these arch people will hate you. You'll also lose your ability to touch grass and shower. Jeez, Arch, just don't be an Arch user. I love those comments from back to back on Twitch. What do you think of vibe coding? So I actually have YouTube videos going into this. I don't really have an issue with vibe coding per se, as long as you are vibe checking, which is that you're not inherently blindly trusting the AI. You're actually learning, using, and understanding the code that you are generating with it. The problem that we have with a lot of people that are doing AI stuff now is they are just asking it to do things, and then they're like, it works, cool, move on. And they don't want to learn the fundamentals of how it works. So even if you're having it create something, have it explain it to you. Work through it. You can use it to create projects and then teach you step by step on those. And then eventually, you may not get into the tedium and monotony of creating the code yourself line by line, but you'll be able to understand and comprehend the code so you can better debug and troubleshoot it in a few ways than AI often can. And check your code with Sneak. Yeah, Sneak. Sierra November Yankee Kilo .India Oscar. So Sneak.io. Free tool for you to hook into your GitHub repositories as well and scan your code for potential security issues. I use it. It's great. As a guest speaker on the latest Kali Net Hunter podcast. Hey! Mazel tov. I'll be a speaker next month at a cybersecurity conference myself too. There's more systems in use more than and now than ever. It makes sense there are more exploits. Yeah, absolutely. You're talking about copy fail and dirty frag. We talked about those in the past few streams. But yeah, it kind of goes into that. I like my 0 days reported fixed and made in public. Yeah, the thing is, this is what a lot of people need to understand about a lot of these, you know, CVEs and zero-day exploits. The zero-day exploit that you know of is not the one that you worry about. Okay, more people are reporting there are zero-day exploits and, you know, a lot of different code. Okay, cool. That's great. We're finding issues. We're fixing issues. And when they announce 0 days, 9 times out of 10, it's because they've already worked with the vendor. The vendor's released a patch, and now they're doing an ethical disclosure of it. So generally how this works is the researcher will find an issue. They'll report the issue. There'll be bug bounties often around this, and they'll, you know, work with the company to find a remediation. They'll give them time to do the remediation, and then once the remediation is done, then they can present their findings. And chances are, some of those things that are out there may be a talk on DEF CON. You know? So, I wouldn't be too worried about people saying, oh, there's this CVE discovered and that CVE discovered. The reality is, there's CVEs going on all the time. If you don't believe me, go look at CISA's registry and MITRE's registries and all of that, and just look historically. It's been going on for, like, what, we've been doing this a couple decades now, I guess, tracking it these ways. I want to start my IT journey. What your advice on what to start with? Pressing the power on button on your computer is a great way to start. Okay, but seriously, just getting curious, tinkering, ask questions, okay, so, like, let's break this down into just one random thing about how you can get curious. You have a web browser you're watching me on right now, probably. If you are on, okay, maybe not, you're on TikTok. But the point being, you have a web browser. How does that web browser work? What protocols does it do? How does, you know, the traffic get sent over? Okay, then you discover there's the whole OSI model. How do, you know, you just go down that rabbit hole, just pull threads. You'll be surprised, just peeking behind the door a little bit of any particular technology that you deal with on a day-to-day basis reveals a vast amount of knowledge that can help you conceptually in your IT and or cybersecurity journey. Trust me, that's how I did it. Curious nature. Just literally like, oh, how does that work? Okay. I used OpenSUSE on a Pi once. It seems solid from what I remember. Yeah, OpenSUSE was pretty straightforward. It's not very common in the US from what I've noticed. I saw it more when I lived over in Germany. Of course, this was like, we're talking a decade and a half ago. Shoot, that just reminded me of an infographic I saw the other day. Yeah. Oh, what is this image that you sent me? Hold on. Copy text. Okay, I see it's from a Blue Sky CDN. What Americans die from and the causes of the U.S. Media reports on. Yeah, so this is kind of what I'm going at. It's a perception issue. So, like, you know, if you were to look at the news, you would see, oh, it's, you know, all of this stuff over here. Oh, it's heart disease. Oh, you know, like, you barely see heart disease here. Barely see cancer. See more accidents and stuff like that. That. You know, but then look at what the actual causes were. Barely anyone talks about heart disease. We got a bunch of fat people. You're watching a fat person right now. Even if I lost 30 pounds, you're watching a fat person still. By the way, I am overweight, not obese, and my doctor can confirm it. I've actually never been obese. I've been overweight at most, but yeah. So you can see this, like, look, even in these, like, doesn't even mention, like, diabetes. Or, yeah. But that's a good point with that schematic. Java pop-ups were a work of art. Java pop-ups are the work of the devil. Sorry, being lazy about finding the graphic again. Chink, link is chink. It's a CDN, it works. You're right, man. We have my app randomly crashing. Twitch mobile at its finest. Yeah. Yeah, I noticed the Twitch app can be kind of iffy, depending on the phone. Got to check. Leap is the stable version. Stable is nice. I use Debian on my server because stability. Gotcha. Yep. Serial killer. I need an allergy pill. Give me 1 second. Alright. Remember that Travolta movie with the hacker? Oh! Was that the one with Halle Berry? I can't remember what it was called. But yeah, Angelina Jolie was something else back then. Yeah, that's true. I definitely had her posters on my wall growing up. Especially with the Laura Croft era. Come on! What millennial boy didn't? Love that movie. It's a shame no one could wrap their head around the artistic interpretation of what would have been a boring-ass movie with about beige boxes. Oh, yeah. I love it. It's one of the, like, most, fictional takes on cybersecurity, but it's one of the most entertaining. What's your tattoo? I got a little hacker guy over here at GurkCon because I was 5 beers in at GurkCon and they had a tattoo booth there. So apparently I decided 5 beers in, hey, what the hell? Let's get a tattoo. Look, I'm sure many of you have made worse choices after 5 beers. I just came out with a little tattoo. I need to actually go to a tattoo shop and get this colored in. Swordfish, thank you. That was the one. Hey, Chief, you need to get Everclear. No, the hell I do not! Hey, Chief, it took me a long time purchasing another YubiKey. Nice! Got a promotion from an associate cyber analyst to senior SecOps engineer, directory services. Pam... Good? Oh, you got a promotion from associate cyber analyst to senior SecOps engineer over directory services. Yeah, that's good. From what I'm reading, unless you mistyped it, that's something to celebrate. You know? Oh, and my alerts didn't go off earlier. Apparently somebody followed, and I just saw that on the alerts. Thanks for the follow there. Was it Tack Lethal? There's also Tumbleweed, which is rolling release. Tumbleweed, that's the one I was thinking of for the rolling release one. I word things like that and try to make you feel like, yeah, the CompTIA definitely words. Like, every cert that I've been to words things like that. Like the ITIL V4 cert, some of the most basic concepts, the way they word it, my God, that was one of the worst scoring tests I ever had. Finished my degree path through WGU for CyberSec, looking for entry IT, and it's been rough. Well, the market as a whole right now is extremely tough. It's not just you. Be persistent. I presume you've already been looking in your area, things like that. And there is, of course, I don't know geographically where you're located or anything. Look at what the opportunities are in your area, and if they unfortunately don't seem to be enough, you may need to consider, if not immediately, eventually moving to where there are opportunities. I know a lot of people hesitate about that, but the reality is a lot of people have to, accept the fact that they were unfortunately given the short straw in life, that they grew up in an area that there wasn't a lot of opportunity, and in order to succeed, you have to go out of your comfort zone and go seeking those opportunities. I did that before. I didn't get to my level just by staying where I'm at. I've been to Texas. I lived in Texas. I lived in California. I lived in Germany, Israel. I was in France for a little contract. So, yeah, you go all over the place wherever the contracts are. Of course, be smart about it. Don't just move and just for the sake of move and, have some kind of a nest egg. Look, if you don't have family, don't have strings tying you down, things like that, it's a little bit easier. If you have kids, if you have, a family, it's a little bit tougher right now. But just wanted to put that out there. Legalize moonshine. Empty milk jug alcohol. Everclear is closer to moonshine than old smoky moonshine. Pretty much. Experience makes you the money. Indeed. I wonder what certs outside the locally Poland ones would be helpful for entry level. I should take, I can't read what you're saying, Gessic. Like, I don't know. It just didn't. It didn't. Like the sentence didn't. The sentence is not sentencing, okay? Is cloud engineering a good profession to get into? I know quite a few people that are in cloud engineering. I've done it a little bit. Thank you for the follow. And it's been a great experience for them. I enjoyed it a little bit. I still have to do it here and there. The one thing that I wish is that a lot of people, when they comment, like say, is this a good job? Is this a bad job? In the majority of IT and cybersecurity jobs, the issue isn't necessarily pay per se. Seniority and all those levels aside. Let's put those aside. What it comes down to is what your interests are, and do you like that kind of work? That's what it comes down to. Like people that like spreadsheets and being more policy and procedure driven, things like that, they may potentially lean more towards GRC, where they don't have to be as technical. You want to be technical, you can do engineering, and then you can grow into architecture. You want to go doing threat hunts and everything. There are analysts for a lot of that stuff, and, your SOC and things like that. It comes down to what you are interested in. That's all there is to it. Hope you're having a great week. Thank you, stay blessed. Having a pretty good one. Do you think AI will cause more issues for analyst role positions in security, IR analysts versus No. I don't think it'll cause issues insofar as the way people think it will, because there's this doom and gloom approach to a lot of analyst positions and entry level, where they think that they're going to be completely disappearing. I think what's going to happen is you're basically going to have analysts that are basically herding AI reports and using those to do further analysis. They're going to be using it more as a springboard. Now, we may see an augmentation of the number of analysts that are required to do the same volume of work with or without particular AI workflows. I can't speak for certain on that, but I don't see a complete replacement, because you can't implicitly and completely trust an AI to do everything and have it right all the time. That's just the reality of it. And I don't see that happening for the foreseeable future. How do we feel about Arch Linux for beginner? No! Go and touch grass, pick another Linux. Just got a promotion from associate cyber analyst to senior SecOps engineer directory services to PAM. Is this a good promotion? Thoughts? I think it's a pretty good promotion. So it seems like you're doing more. So you're doing privileged access management. That would mean you're transitioning more into identity and access management role. I mean, look, you're going from associate to senior. To give you an idea of how big of a jump that is, because a lot of people don't understand how the industry is shifting in terms of titles. So it used to be when you're going in to get a job, you would just become like a cybersecurity engineer straight out.
Nevadomos is now chilling in the lab.
Thank you for the follow. You would just come in straight as a cybersecurity engineer. And then you would go to senior, and then there could be like lead, and then I think it's like what? I think it's regular, senior, lead, and then I think above that now is principal, I want to say. No, there's... I'm trying to remember, because this is still relatively new knowledge for me as of like the past year or so when they started doing this, and I haven't thought about it much. So you have associate, security engineer, senior engineer, lead, and then I want to say staff, and then principal is above that. That's the ranking of how it goes. So you went from associate now, which is even lower than the regular position. That's where they're considering entry-level stuff. So associate's the keyword for a lot of you. You moved past general, the general role, and you went to senior. So you bumped up, if I'm understanding this correct, for your situation, you bumped up 2 tiers in 1 promotion. Think about that.
For me to face the game, so I opened up my toolbox.
Zulu 555
Entry,
is now
IT,
chilling in the
search
lab.
projects and a degree, still not getting any interviews or internships. Okay, did you, so when you actually created your resume, did you create your own resume, or did you actually run it through any ATS tracking to see how optimized it is to pick up those keywords? When you go to apply for jobs, are you only applying through LinkedIn and Indeed and those things where you click a button and you fill out an online form? Are you doing Google search and setting up Google alerts to let you know when there are new jobs in your area? And there's a lot of jobs out there that don't even post their jobs to, LinkedIn and things like that. So you're going to have to, do the searches to go to their site, to go to the career page, similar to what I did for my current job right now, and actually even the prior job before that. So there's a lot of things that go into it. And yes, I know the market is tough overall, but I'd say in my experience, even before the market being as bad as it is right now, I've known people that were not getting callbacks or anything. And honestly, I don't know how to say this other than it's because your resume looks like absolute garbage. And it happened to me. I'm guilty of this too. I did this as well. And what I did was I looked up professional resume services, and I had somebody create me a cover letter and a resume, and I had several versions catered to different roles, and that was ATS optimized. Within weeks of doing that, I was getting callbacks. I actually ended up going through the process of 2 different companies' rounds of interviews before I got this job. I was actually in the position of, I had 2 jobs in this crappy market being offered to me. Now, you may say, like, well, you're more, senior, so of course it was easy for you, but this was also the case when I was starting my career. The first job that I applied for professionally, not the first one, I think it was the second or third MSP, the one that I stayed at the longest. They didn't actually post the job anywhere except on their own website, and I found them through Google just by doing a Google search for local IT managed service providers. Just like you were a customer looking for a company, and every single company that pulled up on Google, I went to their career page and applied for them. I bumped into your channel on TikTok and I have a question for you if I can ask. I don't know why people come into my channel and are like, can I ask you a question? Not understanding that they're, by definition, asking me a question to ask me if they can ask me a question. Just go ahead and ask the question. Like, look, if somebody's going to be live and they don't even want to interact with you, then why? What I'm saying is, just, I understand a lot of you are, wanting to be polite. But this is kind of like the whole, like, MO of, like, online content and all that. The worst that happens is I don't see the message and we don't talk about it. But yeah, you can ask. Applied over 250 positions, 0 calls. Well, it's hard to say specifically with your situation, but what I would tell people is, if you are not getting results within a few weeks with your current approach, you need to change. There's something in your approach that you need to change and alter. Maybe you need to be like, okay, well, I'm doing all these applications. Are you doing an OSINT to find out who the hiring manager is, to contact them on LinkedIn and tell them that you're interested in the role? You're going for cybersecurity. That's a great way to showcase your skills, too, if you can OSINT someone down. Because some of them don't have it, clear who they are. I I'm getting a cybersecurity bachelor degree and network engineering bachelor degree. I've been watching your channel for a bit, and I see a lot of vids that say a degree isn't needed. I feel like I may have wasted money. Why would a degree be beneficial in this industry? Sorry, that is really wordy. The reality is, like I've said, because I'm in the middle of going for my bachelor's as well, it's a checkbox for HR. It may not be necessarily beneficial at the beginning of your career per se, but it will be more advantageous down the road. But also, at least in the United States, if you are working in the government, they specifically want to see certs and degrees. And/or degrees. Now, it's changing into that. It's not that you wasted money. It's, let me put it this way. I wouldn't ever put college as this you wasted money discussion. Because I have to remember, and we all have to remember, we were all sold the pill when we were even in elementary school. You gotta go to college. In order to succeed in this life, you have to go to college. So we get it ingrained in our heads and indoctrinated that we have to go to college without even knowing what the hell we want to go to college for and what we want to do with our lives. Like, I didn't figure out what I professionally really wanted to focus in on and do in my life until I was 25. Yes, I have been doing IT all through those times I was thinking of, other things, but I was also doing car stereo installs. I was doing physical security. I was doing cell phone repair. I was doing, general IT and just effing around. I was kind of like your equivalent of a handyman for tech things. And I was even an electrician for a little bit. You previously mentioned you spent time in Morocco. Was that personal or IT development? I'm Moroccan. I'm first generation Moroccan American. So, that was personal. But my family's Moroccan. I don't know. Paste some titles. It sounds like it probably was. Yeah. Okay. You're answering that. I just heard Sneak. What is it? Sneak is a application security software as a service. So it can actually, you can hook it into your software repositories, like on GitHub, Bitbucket, things like that. And it can actually check for vulnerabilities, outdated libraries, bad ways to do code. Are you exposing things? Yeah, it's pretty great. They have a free version. I like it. I recommend it all the time. It's one of the few AppSec tools I use, along with like Trivy, GitHub Security Actions, Dependabot. There's Sneak, and I think I want to look at like doing like, was it SonarQube? And then there's Step Runner, and there's a few other things I wanted to throw in. But yeah. Look at my warehouse job. How realistic is getting an IT career rolling at 30 with no degree? It's possible. The hardest part with IT and cybersecurity, just like any career, is getting the momentum started. It can definitely be done. It'll take work. But if it's what you really want, I think it can be worth it. I think it's been valuable for me. And I wouldn't change much about my approach to get to where I am. There's a few things I'd change, but not much. It was a good move to... okay. I'm doing basically the same bachelor's in cybersecurity and business administration, and what I'm learning right now is basically what I've always been tinkering on with Hack the Box. Yeah. You're not really going to learn anything new in school. School is where they get information that's several years old and then teach you on that. By the time it's in school and they're teaching you on it, it's been in the field for several years and it's kind of out of date. How do I, wait, hold up. I'm trying to see. Where? Okay. I'm trying to take the drink off stream. I had to find where, this looks really funny to the Twitch users and everything, but yeah. Okay, so that's our whiskey spot. Okay, we'll just put that there. Is there anything impractical to setting up Meshtastic node primarily for myself but letting anyone use it? technically, Meshtastic works by the default setup of everyone is using it. So when you're saying using it, do you mean like, oh, you can log in and they can actually send on behalf of the node? No, only one person at a time can generally do that, from my understanding. Generally. There's some caveats around that if you hook it through a Raspberry Pi. But anyway, if you're buying like any of these off-the-shelf little guys like this, yeah, so anyway, but the way Meshtastic works, these off-the-grid comms, is anyone that is within proximity of this radio here and has their own Meshtastic, so we'll, so I have this Meshtastic over here. So if this Meshtastic can see this Meshtastic, not only can these two directly talk to each other, but now I have another Meshtastic. Okay? So I have another Meshtastic device. So I could, let's say, broadcast a message from this guy over here. This guy over here sees it, but also relays it to everyone nearby, and this one happens to be nearby. And it can do this over several hops. By default, it allows up to 3 hops. So this goes to here first. This goes to here second. And then one more. And you can do up to 7, but generally you don't want to have too much because of that. So you already are letting people use it, and by deploying a Meshtastic node, even if you are not directly sending messages and keeping it active, you are supporting the larger decentralized off-the-grid emergency communications and such for everyone. So with my solar node I have outside my house, I've done exactly that. I don't actually ever really transmit from that node. I may get on a ladder and plug in and charge it, change the firmware settings and stuff. But I have that node, and that can cover, I think, what is it, about like... Some friends of mine have seen my devices 15 miles out, so I think my node is covering about 3 to 5 miles, give or take, on my part of the city. So I'm covering that much of the city, and it's big enough of an area that I'm hitting other repeaters people have built up for it in the same way that I did with mine. So I essentially can communicate and cross the entire city, more or less. Without internet, without cell phones. Highly rural area. Oh, a highly rural area. I know a few people that use them, so the cool thing with Meshtastic is I have a friend that actually uses it because where he is, his wife needs to keep in contact, but they don't have cell phone service at all where they live. And he's got a few miles of property. Or, not a few miles, like a good couple, like a dozen acres or a couple dozen acres. Good enough distance. So, his wife has that, he has that. He's a ham radio guy too, and he's got GMRS and all that. This is just the easiest thing because it's, you can give her this little tag here. She can keep it on her keychain, and she can, be within reach. As long as you're within Bluetooth range of the device. You can also use it to cover Wi-Fi for your entire property too, using HALO. High altitude, long range, or however it stands for. But basically, you can actually broadcast Wi-Fi for 3 to 5 miles out using the ISM band that Meshtastic also uses. And then on the other side, you can connect a connector to your laptop or whatever nodes or whatever you want to receive data from. And you can get up to 6 megabytes over a few miles. Megabits per second, sorry. After 5 years, I usually wake up in the bathroom floor the next morning. Got Linux Pro CompTIA. Is that a decent deal to have? Depends on what you're trying to do in your job, but, I mean, it can be decent. He also got a promotion from associate, now making the change to Pam, working in Eldira instead of being stuck in Azure and AD all the time. Do you think it's cool? I think it matters more. Do you think it's cool? As long as you got a promotion and you got an appropriate pay raise, bro, get that bag. Or person, get that bag. Dude. We'll go with dude. Around these parts, by the way, dude is gender neutral. Hey, recently got into this field, saw your video about ParrotOS versus Kali. Did you go deeper on YouTube? A little bit, yeah. YouTube is always where I primarily make my videos for, and then TikTok and Instagram only get the clips. They get little snippets, so they don't ever get the full story. Very rarely they get the full story there. I want a GRC and SOC, def not easy to get into. Yeah, they can be a little difficult. Got 27 years in IT, current position isn't directly cybersec, fraud prevention title. Took the ISC squared CC and found it fairly easy, debating if I should take the SSCP or try jumping straight to CISSP. Thoughts? That depends on what you really are trying to accomplish in your career. I have the CISSP, I don't have the SSCP. It depends on what you're trying to do with that. The CISSP, just remember that you need to be, 3 of the 8 domains that they have. But you've been in IT like 27 years, I'm pretty sure you've covered it. So, I mean, it can be worthwhile. That judgment call is going to be something more up to you. I personally don't know anyone I think that has the SSCP, at least in my circle. Okay. Let me shrink this window just a little bit. Alright, we gotta get into some of the content we have. Things. Can't wait for May 26th. What's May 26th? Coming over from TikTok, I know you don't have capacity for 2Q. Apple Store RAM is only available for 96 gigabyte now. Is that due to storage or waiting for M5 Studio? The Mac Minis never had more than 96 gigabytes. The M5 Studio, I don't know. I don't know if the Studio had 256 last we looked at it as an option. But you have to also remember, the entire world's in Ramageddon right now. We have a memory shortage across the world. So there could be a chance, I haven't looked at it, but Apple could be just reducing it. I've seen like even MNT only offer 16 gigabyte versions of their boards instead of 32, and I've seen a few other companies do that. They have the raise prices or cut options. What does it feel about to watch your video on why Kali is not a daily driver? Nice. Alright, let's see. Hey Raven, what's up? Today's doing good. I'm gonna start when he's leaving my resume on desktop. Sarcasm. Oh, chief question, what's in the box? What's in the box? What box? Is CCNA a great way to start off, or I am? That's up to you. There's a lot of ways to get into this field, and, you know, a lot of people don't share the same path in this field. Oh yeah, I've got new sticker designs that I'll be releasing soon. I'll have them probably in my shop as well, the shop.chiefgeek3d.com one. But I have new sticker designs that if anyone runs into me, hopefully starting in the conferences in June, Hackers Teaching Hackers, ISSA, and then DEF CON and B-Sides in a couple months after that in GurCon. If anyone runs into me, you get free stickers. No charge for these if you run into me. If you buy them online, you're paying for that, because shipping and stuff. But yeah. All right. Let's see. What do we have in the content section? Oh yeah, so there was something I wanted to share, because I actually came across this, I think... Oh, there's some other videos here. Sorry, I was reading something from somebody. Anyway, I don't know if y'all saw this. There was an interesting post. I'll find it from... Actually, let me see if I can get my Instagram. So that's where the best explanation of the things is. Okay, let's go to my profile. So I came across this that someone had shared an image of, and I kind of just wanted to open up this discussion before we go into other videos and everything. So Taylor Lorenz, I don't know if you're familiar with her, journalist, whatever, she's well known for a few things, said this on Twitter, and a few of my friends in the tech circles kind of raised an eyebrow at this statement here. And I'll explain, as I have written already here in the description, what my issue is. She says, I find myself having to use Grok more and more because of the ridiculous content restrictions in other AI models like Gemini. They have all these needless guardrails that won't let you do basic tasks, like sharpening an image of Ben Shapiro for a YouTube thumbnail. Now, let's start off with, I've used AI for a few things, and it's frustrating because when I want to generate memes and stuff, it won't even allow me to use celebrities, you know, even though it's legal and it's not harmful, or, you know, it won't let me use images from companies, like even their logos and memes, that I have to basically work around it and then maybe Photoshop it in, or something like that. So I'm not saying, yes, I am without understanding. I'm not saying that I am without understanding of the frustrations with some of the guardrails there, but I would disagree with how she said all these needless guardrails. So basically, what I said, calling AI safety rules ridiculous content restrictions and needless guardrails because they stop certain image edits should be a massive red flag. And look, I run AI locally, I test models, I break guardrails, I understand better than most how frustrating these systems can be when they block legitimate work. But there's a huge difference between an annoying overcorrection and guardrails that prevent AI from generating a non-consensual S images of real people or CSAM. Those are not needless guardrails. Those are the exact kind of restrictions these tools need, because without them, people immediately use this technology to harm others. This is why AI safety cannot just be dismissed as censorship. Some guardrails are annoying, some are necessary, and pretending they are all the same is dangerous. So, yeah. When you place a watermark, I assume I can't use it. Kind of, yeah. Taylor Lorenz is the farthest thing from a journalist. She is a definition of a Here's the thing. Yellow journalists are still journalists, and that's not a derogatory term. That is an actual term, if you actually know your history. That just means, what is it? It's referring to this, if I recall, the sinking of the Lusitania or something like that? It has to do with something with journalists sensationalizing a boat that I think exploded in a harbor in World War I that they originally claimed was an attack, and it was found out that it was actually a malfunction of the boat. They sensationalized us and got us into a war. So, like, look. State propaganda still has journalists. They may be propaganda, but they are journalists. But yeah. I play all games on Linux. I tried Once Upon a Time and Wine Programmer Sheiks. It's changed a lot since then, but I'd say like about 90-95% of all games you can play on Linux without much issue. Okay, so yeah, there is that. Now, let's get into a couple of videos here that my audience and I wanted to look at. So, we have this video here that Hans shared from Footprint Hero with Alex Beal. I bought Amazon's #1 device for lowering your electric bill. Now, give me 1 second. I forgot to test the audio to make sure the system will pipe it out properly to you all. Doing our regular once a stream test.
Front, left.
Okay, we're good. I love that I finally figured out the bug that was causing it to intermittently, not sync right. Okay. USS Maine. Thank you. Thank you. I couldn't remember what it was. The Lusitania, I think, was a totally different incident. The Lusitania, I think, wasn't that the passenger ship that got sunk in World War I? Or am I thinking of something else? I don't know. Okay. Yeah, it's been a while, but anyway.
Electricity prices are rising across the country, so to stop sending the power company all my money.
Because of the damn data centers, we know.
I just bought this best-selling device from Amazon that supposedly helps you lower your electric bill. So I'm gonna set it up, get it working, and then give it a test drive to see if it actually helps.
So what the heck is this thing? It's called the Emporia View 3, and it is arguably the internet's favorite home energy monitor.
Okay.
Supposedly help lower your electric bill by 10% on average, which could be substantial savings if your bill is high. So we will definitely see about.
Wait, what's this device called? I'm just curious because I want to see how much this device actually costs. Let me see. He's got an Amazon link there. Let me just pull that up over here. It's $200. And it comes with 16 of these sensors here. I'll show you. I think I actually was looking at this at one time. To monitor my stuff when I was looking at doing Home Assistant stuff and planning that out. So it's $200. So a 10% savings, if true, in many homes, it could pay off in a year or less. Okay.
That.
It comes with some accessories.
Video is echoing. From where? It might be from my headphones.
Lots of sensors, and then this
Wait, hold on. No, it should be.
right here is the brains of the operation, and you'll see what it does.
If it uses electricity, it lowers your electric bill. Witchcraft. I'm betting there's some kind of automation component that's going to be tied into this. So it's probably like, hey, we can tie this in and monitor, and then if certain conditions apply, it could maybe turn off power to different things.
Up in just a sec. So this entire thing cost me $200, which is definitely a lot of money, even if it can pay for itself. So I'm also going to compare the View to two much simpler, much cheaper, but just as
That's the kilowatt on the side, isn't it? And then there's this a smart meter equivalent one.
devices that people also use to track and lower their electricity usage, a $10 kilowatt and a $15 smart plug. All right, let's set all three of them up, starting with the kilowatt because it is the cheapest and easiest. All you have to do is just plug the kilowatt into an outlet. And normally it'd be a wall outlet. I'm using an extension cord because it just makes it easier to film the kilowatt that way.
Okay, one thing I would actually make a caveat with him here. I wouldn't actually put the kilowatt at the end of the surge strip where you plug it directly into the device. Here's why. That extension cord is a little bit of length. Now, this may not matter in the grand scheme of things, but if you want the most accurate measurement, he has to use additional power due to Ohm's law because of the resistance of an extra cable going an extra distance, that there could be a little bit, higher power usage further down the line. So that's, I generally would, if I'm tracing power consumption, put it closer to the source as much as possible. That's just me. As well as, that's just my take. Somebody may have a better thing on it, better explanation to disagree with me. If so, I'm more than all ears.
And it automatically turns on and starts measuring a lot of great electricity data about this outlet. Now I'm going to tell it how much my electricity costs. I'm just going to use the most recent data I could find for the US national average, which is 17 cents per kilowatt hour. And now,
dude, you could have looked at your own power bill. I'm not showing you my power bill, but if you look at your power bill, usually on like the second page, and this applies to gas as well, it'll tell you your cost per kilowatt and cubic foot of gas that you're using in the USA. Yeah, we use cubic feet. I know. We get it. We are on the short bus mathematically in the USA. We know. But anyway, where's I going with it? But yeah, you can look at the second page and you can actually see what your electricity price is, at least from the supplier. And then there's also the generation charge. So I think with mine, I think I was closer to 14 or 15 cents with generation charges included. But I think my base rate is like 9 or like 10.2 cents right now, plus generation. It spiked up to like 16 or 17 cents plus generation. But this is good to know. You can also contact your Public Utilities Commission at your state level, and they usually do like apples to apples comparisons, and you can even shop for your suppliers to bring your price down. So that's just one thing I would say.
Now it's ready to track how much money it costs me to run an appliance, and I'm gonna use it to track my TV. So I'm plugging it in. Oh, look at that. The TV's not even on yet, and it's using some power. And when I turn the TV on, power draw jumps up to a little over 100 watts. I want to see what happens when I turn it off. Powering off, drops down. Wow, does not go to 0. So already we could have uncovered a contributor.
The fact that your TV is using 25 watts at rest concerns me. Like, hold on. That was 25 watts. Yeah, 25.3 watts. Why is your TV burning that much power at rest? Like, my Raspberry Pis I use burn less power than that when they're under load. If I'm not mistaken, let me see. 5 volt times 2.4 amps. Yeah.
To a high electric bill, which is sometimes called phantom power, which is when appliances like my TV are using power even when
it's spying on him. Oh, do not get me started on the fact that we have smart TVs everywhere. I don't want a smart TV. Get me a dumbass TV with good picture, plenty of inputs, and I will plug either a Roku in or build my own box or something.
they're turned off. So we will see how much of a bill my TV racks up after a day of normal use. Let's quickly set up the smart plug next, which is nearly as easy to do as the kilowatt, and then we'll set up the view. I'm gonna use it to figure out how much money it costs to run my fridge. You connect to the smart plug using the brand's app. I have an iPad, but you can do it on your phone. You can see I've already connected to it and labeled the smart plug fridge. And if I click on it, then I can see, like with the kilowatt, tons of great information about its energy usage. So now I just plug my fridge into the smart plug, then I can see in real time how much power it's using.
Hold up.
Fridge into the smart plug.
No. He did not. Whoa.
Costs to run my fridge. You connect to the smart plug.
Does he have his fridge connected through an extension cord?
View. I'm gonna use it to figure out how much money it costs to run my fridge. You connect.
Do not, heavy appliances, you do not put extension cords on. So remember how earlier on I said that you're going to have resistance, which is why I would actually put that little kilowatt smart detector, whatever device he's using, closer to the wall rather than at the end of the extension cord? That resistance, guess what it creates? Heat. This is how, in many different cases, there are other ways this can happen, electrical fires happen. Because you've overloaded the wire, and many people think, oh, well, we have ground fault circuit interrupters. That'll protect me. No, it won't. It will protect you in a ground fault situation. If you have an AFCI, it will protect you in an arc fault situation. But it will not, in many cases, do that under a sustained load. You can push past a breaker with relative ease, past its safety limits. Higher power devices can also fry that little white box. Yes, you have to check the ratings. Now, most of these little devices here, they do tend to have them rated for like up to 1500 watts. Okay? But the average fridge wattage is between 300 and 800 watts. To give you an idea, hairdryer watts. A hairdryer is about 1,500 to 2,000 watts. So you essentially have anywhere from 1/5 of a hairdryer to 1/2 of a hairdryer, more or less. Give or take. But yeah, this is why electricity is one of the things you have to be very careful about. And I actually do recommend, if you work in tech, to at least understand the basics of electrical work. Not saying you have to know like the ins and outs and understand the box fill algorithms to get inside of the electrical code across the your country or state or whatever. Just understand the basics to be safe, because a lot of that stuff will help you out more often than you realize in your career in tech. His insurance wants to cancel his plan now. Trying to kill a refrigerator. High power device. Yeah, okay. This is also why if you use an extension cord, you're supposed to unwind them. If they're coiled up a bunch, they can generate enough heat that they can burst into flames. I've seen that on a construction site before. Yep, I've seen that before. I have a story about extension cords, heavy appliances, and fire. I had a job cleaning pools. We had a janky vacuum. We had to plug in the 2 extension cords in a certain order for it to work. Who knows if the extension cords were rated for the vacuum draw? The plugs were kind of fried. One day I was in the pool cleaning while someone else was vacuuming. Then it caught on fire. I yelled at her to unplug it. She later told me that she nearly threw it all into the pool. Oh, damn, that would have been a worse situation. From fire to electrocution. Okay? The Fire Nation has now summoned lightning. Just realized I followed you since 2019. Damn! I've been on content since 2019? Now I'm depressed.
To the smart plug using the brand's app. I have an iPad, but you can do it on your phone. You can see I've already connected to it and labeled the smart plug fridge. And if I click on it, then I can see, like with the kilowatt, tons of great information about its energy usage.
You know, I noticed something. Did you notice that in his original kilowatt, okay? So the original video he was showing us about the kilowatt here. Hold on, let me find it. 123 volts here, right? This is just a little thing I just noticed. It's reporting 126 volts over here. That's a little high. Just a little. I know a lot of people think like, oh, it's going to be like 115, 120. There is a risk if it runs a little bit high. It can actually cause damage. Like, I knew people that were burning through light bulbs because the power was coming through the mains a little bit higher. But anyway, the point I'm getting at is you have a 3-volt difference. I don't know. It just kind of makes me go like, not that it's like too serious, but you got some potential voltage drop issues going on there, buddy. But there's a lot of factors that could play into this. Okay.
Then I can see, like with the kilowatt, tons of great information about its energy usage. So now I just plug my fridge into the smart plug. Then I can see...
Again, never plug your fridge into an extension cord.
In real time, how much power it's using and how much energy it's used in total. But that's not all. The smart and smart plug means it has a couple extra features that it does.
Hold on. I'm just curious. Okay, 126 volts is at the upper end of the threshold to be safe. But if it consistently exceeds 126 to 128 volts, you may have to start working with the utility company.
Some kilowatt doesn't. I'll quickly show you the 2 that I use the most when it comes to smart plugs. The first is being able to control the smart plug from the app. So when I push this power button...
Smart plugs? Dumb operators.
You can see the smart plug turns off, my fridge turns off, it's not using any power, and then when I press the power button, it turns back on, and my fridge starts using...
I want you to notice that for a second. So he turned it on,
press the power button.
Immediately jumps to 141 watts. That's just of what it measured. So there's a chance what happened was it actually peaked higher than that. Because the thing that I'm also curious about when it's measuring power, is it doing peak envelope power? Or not peak envelope power, that's something else. Is it, there's basically a wave that power goes in. I'm curious how it's measuring that.
It turns back on and my fridge starts using power again. The second feature is the one that I think is actually more powerful, and that is scheduling, which you can use to turn on and off the appliance whenever you want. So just as an example, let's say electricity in your area gets cheap at 8 and expensive at 5 p.m. Why not run the appliance when electricity is cheapest? Now,
because your fridge, you don't want the fluctuation of temperatures in there, and you actually can make your compressor work more. I know a lot of people try to play the game here, but I've also been in the game for a while.
I wouldn't do this with my kitchen fridge, of course, but you could imagine doing
It's
it.
funny how time flies when you're having fun. Yeah, totally.
So I will turn
See you
this
later, see you, Jesse. Have a great day.
We will come back tomorrow and see how much money it cost me to run my fridge for a day. But the smart plug, like the Kilowatt, still only monitors one
Dude, not only does he have... Hold on.
for a day. But
Not only does he have this connected to an extension cord, he has it coiled up on top of the fridge. Heat generation component here. If any of you have ever actually touched the back of your fridge, they can get kind of warm. It's coiled up, connected to an extension cord. I know some of y'all think that I'm being a little bit extreme here, but I don't think you realize how many kinds of ways I've seen people destroy their homes from what seems like little innocuous things like this. Yeah. So anyway, he's now about to shove that fridge into an area that has no airflow, hiding that cord there. Yeah.
the smart plug, like the Kilowatt, still only monitors one appliance, which brings us to the main event, the View 3. Unlike the other two devices, it does not plug into an outlet. Instead, it connects to your electrical panel to give you a bird's eye view of your home's energy usage. Let's do this. Good thing I have got so many power stations.
I'm not an electrician and I don't play one on YouTube. And of course,
Yeah, because I'm going to tell you, those gloves ain't going to do shit. And let me tell you, glasses is Sparky. Come on, my dude.
Emporia
Although props that your electrician did actually mark and label everything. That was a pain in the ass to track down every circuit in my house.
covers their legal bases at the top of the manual, but then they also go on to give you some of the best and most thorough instructions I've ever seen if you want to install the View yourself. I started by installing the Wi-Fi antenna. Because the View connects to your home's Wi-Fi, you can set it up to control and automate other smart devices in your home. Then I got to work connecting the sensors. The main ones track the total amount of energy being used by my house, and there's even a way to use the View to track solar generation if you have a home solar system. Now I'm at the fun part, which is that I have 16 of these branch CTs.
And I get to decide which appliances and which parts of my house I get to track the energy usage for.
He's got a relatively recent wire panel there. Just looking at how things are wired up.
All right, there we go. Just finished the install. Obviously added a lot of wires to the breaker box, and don't worry, I will clean this all up with cable ties later.
My plan is to see what data we get from all three devices after 24 hours.
Those are not Z78 rated glasses. I'm calling my boss who works for OSHA. Yeah. That's why I was laughing like, dude, those glasses ain't gonna do shit. Those are range glasses. At best. Yeah, that is... He said he's gonna clean that up, but yeah, he could have done a better job mid-wire. I should buy this. Original 34 and 2 outlet, 1 USB... Oh. My Pit Vipers are 78.
I'll wait a month to see what insights the View can give me into how...
The other thing I would have done with that box, I wonder if you could have mounted it outside.
A good sign. Then in the Emporia app, I go to the, correct energy monitor that I want to add. And I just connected the app to the view. I'm calling it Electric Bill Slasher. Electric Bill Slasher has been successfully added. Okay, whoa, this is my first time seeing this dashboard here. And I'm gonna guess that this is how much energy my home is using total at this moment. Only 0.27 kilowatts. That is not a lot at all.
Is that kilowatts?
And then these are the ports.
Didn't really say there.
Corresponds to how much energy each port is using. Okay, I went ahead and named each of the circuits, and now we can see where the power is being used, mainly from my fridge. It probably warmed up a bit.
What I probably would have done if I were him, I would have actually, I don't know if he did it, but on each one of these, I would have written down which number it corresponds to or put a label maker on there so you can run through that easier.
Power to the house was cut, and then a little bit of power from some other circuits. I wanted to quickly compare this to the smart plug and see how the numbers line up on the fridge. You see, okay, 118 watts right there.
Is this just a roast fest? It's not a roast fest, it's just... We watch videos, if we find issues, we talk about it and all that. We're just reacting to it.
18 watts, 119. Yo, this is really fun already. I'm gonna go around my house, turn some stuff on, and see how it reacts. Okay, my first question is how sensitive is this thing? So I'm gonna turn on this 6-watt LED lamp in our guest room and see if it picks it up. So it's actually not able to track this lamp here, which is about 5-6 watts. Something I've always wondered is how much power does my stove use? And I learned that you can actually click on these and it takes you to this separate window where you can see this.
See, that would actually be useful if I could actually take this system. But see, I don't want to do it through their app. What I'd rather do is dump it into my server that's collecting all this data and then feed that into Grafana dashboards. That's just me.
Circuits.
Look, I'd rather have it in Grafana.
Power in real time. So I am going to turn it up to high and see what happens. I'm just turning one of the burners up. You can see it's warming up. Oh wow, there it goes. 3,200 watts. Wow.
Yeah, there's a few seconds of delay there.
Turn it off. Does it instantly go back to...
That was my first tech job. Basic tech repair. What's your PC specs? I got two PCs here. There's a 5950X and 5070 Ti with 64 gigs of RAM, and then a 5700X and a 5050 and 64 gigs of RAM.
0. Yeah, pretty much. And finally for the...
There are HA integrations that can dump to a time series in the Grafana. Yeah, I know.
I am going to turn
Freelance now? No.
cooling on and see how much power it uses. Okay, I heard a click. I think it just kicked on.
If you know what's funny? I want you to think about this for a second. He's talking about saving money on his bill. He spends $200 on a device to track down how he can save money, right? We're staring at one of the things that can easily save him a lot of money. Because, like, don't get me wrong, the monitoring thing, it's fun, but it's a bit more of a toy than an effective action because it won't do the fixes necessarily for you per se. He's got an old thermostat. Put a smart thermostat on there that can actually read what's going on, like those EcoBees with the additional sensors for different zones. That will actually turn on and off more accurately than those will. I know from a few years ago, when I switched from the thermostat that was in the house to a Nest, it actually saved my bills quite a lot. Same as when I added, it's called Cello, for my mini split AC upstairs in my room. It controls it by basically being the brains for it and tells it when to turn on, turn off, up, down, all that, if I'm home or not. But yeah, like, and the thermostats you can get for free for companies. So, like, look, he's talking about, like, 2,000 watts right there. It kicks on, it adjusts the temperature, but then it's not going to know when you're not home. Send it into an eco mode.
Oh,
I'd rather spend $25K on a solar system to help save my electricity bill. You know, I'm kind of in the same mindset.
2,000 watts. 1,000. All right, settling around 1,300 watts, so quite a bit less than the stovetop, but you know, it's just running so much more often. I am thoroughly enjoying this so far. I can finally see what's using the most energy, what's driving up my electric bill. Knowledge is power! All right, the Kilowatt has been tracking the TV for 24 hours, so let's see how much money it costs me. And by the way, this and the smart plug both have memory, so their numbers didn't reset when I cut power to the house. Currently, the TV is using around 0.4 watts.
Okay, that makes more sense when it's in complete sleep. So that TV probably is like, when you turn it off, it goes into suspend, then after long enough, it just, well, it goes into just turning the screen off, then it goes into suspend, similar to what your computer's off to do.
So what about that phantom power draw that we saw? Well, soon after connecting the Kilowatt, I noticed the phantom power draw dropped to what we're seeing now, around 0.4, 0.5 watts. So I timed how long it used, you know, a more meaningful amount of power after turning the TV off. And it turns out it used 25 watts for about 12 minutes, which works out to a fraction of a cent of added cost to my electric bill. So for me, that took the TV phantom power draw issue from mildly frustrating to the least of my worries. Over the last 24 hours, my TV used 0.3 kilowatt hours. And again, at the national average cost of electricity of 17 cents per kilowatt hour, that works out to 4 cents total.
Over how long? What, in a day?
I can watch all the TV I want guilt-free because it's costing me next to nothing to run.
Not necessarily, if you actually look into the total cost for you to stream all your content. I'm just devil's advocate here. What's the power usage of your modem and or router?
But how much does my fridge cost me each day? In the Smart Plug app, if I go to the fridge, I can see how much energy it has accumulated today, which is close to 1 kilowatt hour. And then if I click more data and go to 7 days, then I can see the total accumulated over the last 7 days, which in this case only covers yesterday and today, which is 1.6 kilowatt hours. So over the course of a month, at again, the national average cost of electricity, my fridge costs me just over $8 a month to run. That's really not that bad. And to me, this exercise is highlighting one of the shortcomings of both the Kilowatt and the Smart Plug is that they can only monitor appliances that plug into standard wall outlets. So using them to diagnose why your electric bill is high can inadvertently direct your focus to the wrong appliances.
That just leaves us with the View 3.
So it hasn't even been a day yet, but I've been learning a lot from just watching the app to see how my behavior affects my home's electricity usage in real time. Like, how much does it cost us to run the fan at night while we're sleeping? Turns out it uses around 60 watts.
So the thing about a fan is, like, you'll be like, okay, it's 60 watts, and, you know, if we want to turn it off, save money. But then you need to factor in, will the AC work harder because the airflow's not moving as much? You generally will actually be cheaper running a fan than you will be running your AC. So it's, see what I mean?
Over the course of 8 hours, that works out to like 8 cents. But what about washing dishes? I realized that I mainly think about this from the perspective of water usage, but then I was halfway through a dish and I noticed my water heater kicked on and started using nearly 5 kilowatts of power, which is insane. That's like,
yep, electric water heaters. But it also depends, like, is he talking about a conventional tank water heater? Is it a heat pump water heater? So those come into play.
like nearly
And how big is this water heater? Maybe there's issues with this water heater, because most homeowners don't drain the sediment out of their tanks. It's knocked about 2 days worth of electricity on the I do peak shaving, small ground mount solar, medium-sized battery. Plug in my servers and have the power station app turn wall power off while solar is producing. Nice.
1,000 LED.
My next house I'll do more solar stuff.
A deeper appreciation for how much energy it takes to do anything involving hot water.
So here's the interesting thing, you know, when he mentioned, like, this is one thing that, you know, it's kind of interesting, and I've gotten into discussions with this, and Technology Connections has a much bigger video. So you see him making a video talking about he's hand washing his dishes here right now, right? Follow me for a second, okay? And I'm like, that's cool. But then he shows us he has a dishwasher. Contrary to popular belief, dishwashers are actually more efficient. They use less water, They basically recycle the water inside of there between a couple of the cycles. So I've even done measurements, because I was this autistic, where I was measuring the cost it was to, you know, wash one load of dishes versus doing it in the laundry, the dishwasher, and it was a noticeable difference in water and electricity. Technology Connections, I said, went deeper into this video. He has a video going into this. Like, he actually, like, had it draining water into buckets to measure it and, you know, all of this. Like, it was, like, you want an hour-long deep dive on a lot of these random tech things, Technology Connections is a great channel. I've been watching him for years. Until they won't get the stuck food off the utensils. So here's the thing. Stuck food, I don't have that problem with my washing. So what I actually recommend people do with dishwashing is I use powder detergent. And most people don't know you can have a pre-wash segment. So I actually just rinse my dishes. Don't clean, just rinse enough to get the mass solids off. But you still need some dirt, fat, grease, and all that on the plates to activate the enzymes in a lot of dishwasher detergent. So I use, you know, the rinse aid inside of there, pour the little scoop of powder inside the little compartment, then I pour a little bit more on the pre-wash segment. If you look at your little detergent compartment, when you close it, there's sometimes a little divot maybe next to it for like pre-wash. Put that in there. Then run the hot water before you run the dishwasher from the sink that it's connected to. Preheat that water up. Then launch the dishwasher. I almost never have a problem with, like, it not being clean enough. I have a Maytag. They work pretty well. Watch Tech Connections video. If stuff is sticking, it's probably because you're doing it wrong. Exactly. I actually fixed my problems with a lot of my laundry and, not laundry, dishwashing and a few other things, watching his videos, and things made sense. And I actually do use the laundry detergent that he was recommending a while ago from, what is it, the good store?
Had a
Or rinse your plate after you finish eating to get rid of harsh stains. Yep.
deeper appreciation for how much energy it
Hey, I just logged into my YouTube, and the first thing that opened was one of your shorts. YouTube is indoctrinating you. You are joining the cult of the penguin. Why do people say that dishwashers are not efficient? The reason is because they have this mental idea inside of their head that there's always water running in a dishwasher, so it must be using more water, even though at the same time, they'll keep the water running while they're doing the dishes by hand, not realizing in most cases the flow rate out of your faucet is higher than what's in the dishwasher. So it's just that idea of it's, you know, continuously running water. So they think it's being wasteful compared to just doing it by hand. But it's been proven time and time and time and time again. Dishwashers are, in fact, more energy efficient in almost all cases than washing by hand. There are exceptions, like you will never use a dishwasher for cast iron, of course, and a few other things. But yes. Failed my CompTIA plus 3 times. Do you think I should still keep going? I think you should, but I think you should study more. Do a bunch of the practice tests that are out there. There's a few different places. Unfortunately, WGU provided the practice tests with my stuff, so as the official CompTIA one, do practice tests. Wait until you get at least 85% consistently on practice tests, then go for it again.
takes to do anything involving hot water. All right, it's been a little over 24 hours since I installed.
Do you have experience with Rust? I don't really do Rust much, unfortunately. It's been something I want to play with, but yeah, I haven't gotten the opportunity.
Let's look at the results. On the home screen, the app tells me how much I've spent on electricity so far today. This is again assuming the national average cost of electricity, breaks it down by the top 3 appliances. If I want to see that in terms of energy usage, I can click on that and it breaks it down, tells me the total overall. Also, you can see I did a really good job picking which circuits to put the sensors on, because the difference between the total of all these circuits in my
God, that's smooth.
is only 2%. So if I click on the week tab, then I can
Do you have any advice for domain flipping? What do you mean domain flipping? Like buying a domain and selling it for profit? That's an old game. My uncle actually used to do that. My uncle, may he rest in peace, actually was the one who at one point had Rolex.com and sold it to them. He was working for another company when they were doing domain flipping. This was the 90s. I think he told me that was like a $10,000 domain purchase back in the day or something like that. It was at least 5 figures.
You can see the total energy usage over the last like 24 hours or so, and the 2 most expensive appliances to run are far and away the water heater and the AC.
So that is definitely true. The water heater, electric water heaters are one of the biggest energy drains in most American homes. Primarily because we use a conventional tank design. So the issue is it has that insulation around it. It's a thermal battery. There's pros and cons to it. But because of the conventional way that it's heating, it ends up using a lot of power. There are heat pump ones that can make that a little bit more efficient. But in many parts of the country, including in my house that I have right now, gas is actually more cost effective. Originally I had a gas water heater, but the vent had collapsed that originally was in the house. So the quickest fix for the then 15-year-old water heater, which was on its last leg, was to convert it to electric because there was already a 30 amp circuit for the prior owner's jacuzzi they used to have. So it was an easy just move the 30 amp circuit, run that in. I know electrical, worked that with my ex-girlfriend's brother at the time because he was an electrician too, and then we got that in. But I'm going to convert back to gas to save money. Because I know that's at least a quarter of my electric costs every month. And I did the math, and it would pay for itself in about a year and a half. But yes, AC is another power drain. In terms of AC, to optimize that, smart thermostats are one of the most inexpensive ways to solve that in most cases. The other way is get an energy audit. A lot of power companies, a lot of gas companies will offer energy audits for free. They'll actually find where the energy is leaking outside of your house. So, you know, maybe your windows are leaky. If you got single pane windows, you want to upgrade to double pane. You'll maybe want some more insulation. Maybe you have some drafts, gaps, things like that. You know, get an infrared gun. Maybe you can find out where energy is leaking out of the house. So, yeah. Change your anode rod in your tank. That helps too. It does, but the issue is getting to the anode rod, and in many cases, it's so in there, you have to use an impact gun or impact drill, and a lot of people just don't have that. Like a regular drill will not pull it out, trust me, and you're going to need a nice sized bit. I haven't been on top of that, but I'm also replacing this water heater in the next year or two, so. Worth getting into IT, or should I just say give up and choose trades? I hold CC, Sec Plus, Net Plus soon. I came from the trades and IT, and I've been in IT or cyber. If it's worth it is more up to you personally and what your goals are. It's a little bit weird in the market overall, to be honest, but I've seen it worthwhile.
My dryer and dishwasher also used a fair bit of power, and I found the real source of phantom power in my house, which is my heat circuit. The heat was not on at all in the last 24 hours, but you can see that it used a little over a kilowatt hour.
So the reason why that actually may be is because, again, your thermostat. Your thermostat is still going to send power to your furnace and your heater. Your furnace and your AC at the same time. Because it'll switch back and forth to that. Now, what's interesting is, you have electric heat, don't you? So there might be something else at play. Yeah, because my furnace doesn't run. I mean, my furnace has its own circuit. But the furnace, on a gas furnace, it would only be a temperature sensor with the control board and the igniter, and it would barely be using any power. So I have a feeling he might be using electric heat, and there might be something misconfigured. He could have another thermostat in the house. It's kind of hard to know. If you're in an area where the trades are oversaturated, it may be beneficial to go into IT. Fair enough.
I am now 1 month older and wiser. And
And he's also 1 month later and still not actually done the cable cleanup he talked about. Like, dude. Like, it was fine to, like, leave these wires in there at first, because it was, like, day one. But, no joke, dude, that's a potential hazard. Like, no joke. That is a hazard. There's a reason why people want their wire runs clean and everything, and if you have to go in to service this, it's going to be a pain in the ass. Yeah, that's... There's just, like, so many things that irk me about this from my electrician past life that I'm like, no, just don't do this.
I am now one.
A home inspector would totally fail that. Like, if he goes to sell the house, he's gonna have to pull that. He's gonna have to pull that or clean that up. Because the inspector will fail him. Because if I'm not mistaken, it's been a while since I've done my electrician stuff and NEC and all that. But the way he's going about it may interfere with box fill calculations. I think there's box fill requirements for your panels. But anyway, yeah.
Month older and wiser and sexier. All right, so what did my energy usage
No, you're about as sexy as that wire job. Sorry, it was right there. I had to take the opportunity.
look like over the past month? This app gives you a really cool graph. You can see a day-by-day breakdown. You can see, for instance, when I was out of town for spring break and the home was only using around 4 kilowatt hours a day. For context,
They require a certain amount of airflow. Yeah.
Around 30 kilowatt hours.
See, I've never really had to think about it because I always have just done, stick to the code, or at least, what you're taught. You run your wires in, you get your Romex, and then you trace it into however you need to do, give yourself clean runs so you can identify each wire, and naturally, as long as you're not double binding and things like that, you won't have to worry about these box fill calculations.
A day. And you can see when it got really cold for a couple days and I had to blast the heat and was using up to 60 kilowatt hours a day. I also went out.
Electric code is a thick book to memorize. Oh, indeed it is. I had to go over the National Electrical Code when I was putting my antennas back up to make sure everything I was doing was within code as well. Because when I am a ham radio operator, I still have to abide by the NEC.
Out of town this weekend, and you can see that on the graph. You can really learn a lot about a man looking at his energy usage. But overall, it's looking like my home's energy usage is a little bit lower than the average. Some of that, I suspect, is due to what I've already done to lower my electric bill, which I'll talk about in just a sec. And some of it is, of course, due to it currently being springtime, so I don't have to run the heat and the AC all that much. And yet, when we look by device, what do we see? The AC unit is still using the most energy of any appliance, followed closely by the water heater, and then a distant third and fourth.
Again, that's because you're using a traditional thermostat, so it's going to do this very basic, like, if this temperature, turn on, if not turn off, where it's not going to look at any nuance of weathered patterns or anything like you can do with, like, say, an Ecobee or a Nest thermostat, and then you can schedule it and have it actually account for you coming in and leaving and all of that. So, yeah.
We have the heat and the dishwasher. So that's making me a bit nervous about how high my electric bill will be come summer, which will be the first summer I've spent in this home, but it's already giving me some ideas about how I can lower my energy usage starting now.
But what the Views data also allows you to do is to figure out how long it would take energy efficiency related home improvements to pay for themselves. Like if you wanted to go full millennial dad mode and buy a smart thermostat to save money on heating and cooling, you can take your HVAC's actual energy usage data and turn it into quite an accurate payback period.
I wasn't making this shit up, was I? Look at that. Okay?
Calculation. Or if you're considering a major energy efficiency improvement like getting better home insulation, then you can ignore whatever salesy numbers the contractor might be throwing at you and get a much more realistic estimate yourself.
Insulation is very rarely actually worth it unless you're doing the actual, you are roughing it in. If the walls are down, go balls to the walls on insulation. If the drywall, sheetrock, whatever is already up, unless there is like no insulation, like this is a really old home, it's not worth it in most cases, unless this is your forever home. The same thing goes with windows. In most cases, it's not worth it to buy new windows if you're planning to leave. I think, what is it, within 5 to 8 years, depending on what it is. Stop doing so many loads of laundry to start. Turn down your AC at night. Yeah. Again, smart thermostat. The loads of laundry. Okay, so he's got a dryer, right? I hang dry my delicates and even some of these nice shirts from Convention and all that, so they can stay a little bit longer. Another thing that goes into dryer savings, so a lot of people actually never check the dryer vents, and you'd be surprised if you have a clog how much that can actually impact your dryer costs, because you have to use the dryer more to dry your clothes out, whereas a clean dryer vent will dry your clothes out a lot more.
A major energy efficiency improvement like getting better home insulation, then you can ignore whatever salesy numbers the contractor might be throwing at you and get a much more realistic estimate yourself. Now here's the mildly infuriating reality to this whole endeavor. Let's say you use this data to lower your electric bill by 20% this year. That'd be a substantial amount,
okay,
and a little bit more here and there over the subsequent years. Energy prices have just gone bonkers over the last 6 years, so let's assume they continue to rise 3%.
Indeed they have. I've actually done the calculation. I'm using 20% less electricity this year after getting the hole in the roof fixed last year and the new windows installed. And guess how much my power bill has lowered or increased? It's increased by about 20%. I'm using about 20% less power, but my bill is about 20% more.
% a year on average. Then if you zoom out and look at your annual electric bill over the span of, say, 15 years.
I think it was last year I was going to ask what distro and what game was it. Pop OS, and we were playing Pragmata last. No, 90-degree turns in your exhaust too. It restricts airflow. Yeah, you don't want to do 90 degrees. You want to do kind of a nice bend radius.
Then you could say these energy efficiency efforts are only really helping you tread water.
And of course, inflation is a natural fact of life. You'd expect this, but something about the electric bill feels like the original monthly subscription service that you can't cancel, and the power companies seem to be competing with Netflix to see who can raise their prices the fastest. And let's just say, Netflix, pick up the pace. So this is why I think this concept of energy independence is starting to gain more traction. And when I use that term, I essentially mean being able to produce most or all of your home's energy yourself. Why would you want to do that?
I actually am more of a proponent of not just the individual doing it, but I think there should be more communal aspects. I think if communities could actually band together to actually become net producers of electricity through renewable means, whether it be solar or such that they have available to them, because some properties may have access to hydro and such, but then communally pool those resources together and create kind of like a neighborhood battery to store all that energy in. And then if there's cases where the grid is having issues, like there's a power outage or anything, each neighborhood can basically become its own cell of energy to provide to each of those neighborhoods to reduce the load across. You see what I'm saying? I am definitely a proponent of generating electricity yourself, but I think that we need more than just, I'm doing this for myself, and it needs to extend to the community, so that way it works better for everyone, because the grid as a whole is a problem. And then by that virtue, if we become net positive generators in these different communities, they then can send their excess power to other additional cells of neighborhoods, and then you could potentially have a domino effect eventually, where by virtue of all these neighborhoods being net positive generators on the grid, you now lessen the actual need for a power company per se. You see what I'm saying? Maybe it's an idealistic idea, maybe it's a little bit too lofty, but I think that would be a better approach in the long term. For the solar system, when you create surplus power, some power companies will pay your difference and buy your extra power. A lot of places in Central Texas are like that. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I'm getting into, is you would more or less sell your power to these other cells or the energy aggregator that can then distribute it across the entire load.
Well, so you're not as reliant on your power company and you're not as exposed to them hiking rates just because a new AI data center gets built down the road from your home. And currently the best solution we have to making your home more energy independent is solar panels plus a home battery. So I'll throw up a QR code and put a link down below. They'll take you to a free solar calculator that'll help you estimate how much it would cost to get that installed in your own home. So what have I already done to lower my electric bill? I put blackout curtains in our sunniest room to help keep out the heat. I got this big clothes drying.
Another thing he could do, so he put blackout curtains, that's great. You can actually add a one-way tint, or you can do tinting on windows. Yeah, it won't be like clear and pretty and everything, but it does actually reduce energy consumption and usage. I did the same thing in a couple of my windows.
Curtains in our sunniest room to help keep out the heat. I got this big clothes drying rack so I don't have to run the dryer so much.
That's what I said earlier. Hang dry your clothes when it makes sense.
And so my clothes don't shrink. This last one is pretty unique to me because I'm a bit of a nerd, but I offset some of my electricity usage with small solar setups. I've done videos on my experiments in this area before, and I've learned a lot since then, so I could even make another one if you guys wanted, let me know. Wouldn't be the first thing I'd recommend to most people, but is it pretty freaking cool? Yeah. Now that I've seen all the View 3's data, what will I change? I'll use cooler water when I'm washing my clothes. Use cooler water.
In general, you should be using cool water. You only use hot water when you're doing whites, at least as far as I knew. Whenever I wash my clothes, I maybe use not the coldest setting, but the one above it. So not middle of the way, but kind of like in between coldest and mid. And that's on almost all of my clothes. And then when I do use the dryer, I have it on the low setting.
When I'm washing my dishes, and use cooler water when I'm washing myself. No, never mind.
Okay, I wouldn't do cold water, but one thing a lot of people could do is if you go to your water heater, you can turn the temperature down. There's a lot of cases where people have their water heaters actually too hot. That is a thing. So you can lower it and save yourself a little bit of power.
That's cold. I'm gonna go full boomer dad mode and control the thermostat with an iron fist. Kidding. I also just discovered that my dishwasher defaults to heavy wash. Why not normal wash? I have no idea.
I just use the auto setup.
So I will make a habit of running it on the normal wash setting, which will use less electricity and less hot water. I'm also gonna get more blackout curtains for the other sunny windows because those things are affordable and they work pretty dang well. And because I'm targeting the appliances that use the most energy, I expect these relatively simple changes to save me around 7 to 10% on my monthly electric bill.
He's got a conventional water heater. That's not a, what do you call it? Heat pump one, from what I can see, at least. Y'all can correct me on that if I'm wrong. Huh. Just looking at that. Okay.
And if you live somewhere with extremely high electricity prices during peak hours, then one of the easiest things you can do is learn your power company's price schedule and then be intentional about using your most power-hungry appliances during the hours when electricity is cheapest. Now,
you can also go, like I said, go to your public utility commission and you can actually shop energy rates. So like I have a fixed rate that no matter what time of day, I'm paying this price per kilowatt. So, for example, I can go into this right here. I'll show you. A lot of states have this. So this is Ohio's. Let's say I'm going to electric. We want residential. Let's just say we have AEP, and then from here I can then shop all the energy rates that are available. And then the trick is, so you can see you have all these different ones out here. Some are variable, some are fixed. So generally what I tell people to do is look for a monthly fee of 0. Termination fee, that's up to you. I like to get at least a 12 to 36 month term. And then you can choose if you want renewable content, things like that. And then from there, filter results, and boom. Look at that. Fixed rates, And this is your supply charge, not your generation charge. So your power company will charge more on top of that. But many states have this available, and people don't know that that's a thing you can actually do. And as you can see, these are fixed rates. So you can actually find ones that do happen to be variable, but then you're playing Russian roulette with it. It's your most private browser, in your opinion, of course, because you have 15 years in IT. I generally use Florp for my day-to-day stuff. It's a fork of Firefox. It works pretty well. There's also LibreWolf that does pretty well. But yeah, those two are pretty good. Of course, privacy is more about your choices and how you hand data off than the tools that you use.
Have to address the elephant.
Have your AC set 10 to 15 degrees lower than the temp outside, than the outside temp. If it's 90 outside, you're hurting yourself if you keep it at 70 all day. Yeah. What about Molvad? It's just another browser. It's just Chromium based. I just don't care for Chromium based browsers.
The thing that I know for sure.
Because Google's got a monopoly on things.
I spent $200 on this device to learn that my HVAC and water heater are using the most energy, which is something I could have learned from a free Google search. So while I think the
Wait, what did he say?
Device to learn that my HVAC and water heater are using the most energy, which is something I could have learned from a free Google search.
Yeah, I could. You know, I've said stuff like this, I think, in past streams as well.
So while I think the View is cool, the real-time data it gives you is powerful, and it has those other features I mentioned, like tracking solar generation and doing basic home automation. Knowing what I know now, would I buy this again?
No.
Honestly, I might, but this is definitely not where I would start. I would instead just make a very safe assumption, given that I live in Tennessee, which is that my HVAC is the appliance that uses the most energy in my home. And I would take that $200 that I would have spent on the View and instead use it to buy blackout curtains and a smart thermostat and try to lower my electric bill that way. And only if my electric bill were to remain stubbornly high and I needed more data, only then would I buy a home energy monitor and use the data it gives me to try to diagnose the issue further. And I definitely wouldn't buy.
I'd maybe only recommend a system like this if you were actually generating your own power completely for your home, because you'll want to monitor all the energy usage when you are generating your own power, because you'll want to look for phantom power draws and things like that potentially.
A kilowatt or a smart plug. They're great for some things, but definitely not for meaningfully lowering your electric bill. But I'll still link all three devices below. And if you want to see how much money you could save on your electric bill with a small DIY solar setup, then I'll link here one of the videos that I talked about earlier. It's of one of my earlier experiments, and I think is a great starting point to inspire you on what is now possible and relatively easy with a small backyard setup. But y'all, that's it for this one, and I'll see you in the next one.
All right. All right, so the next video is from Vanessa Wingard. AI is sending people into psychosis. We've seen her videos quite a bit before, too.
ChatGPT is throwing people into psychosis, and it's becoming very alarming to me. I cannot tell you how many times that I have seen someone come across my FYP completely frantic, and then they proceed to tell the audience how ChatGPT is sentient and how they have cracked the code. And
I've met people like this too.
it's really, really disturbing.
It is.
Saw a girl come on here, and her boyfriend fell in love with ChatGPT and genuinely believed that he was the new AI overlord. And she started reading messages from chat, and it's egging people on.
Over 230 million people worldwide.
Well, let's think about this critically. You had ChatGPT, which was famously trained on data from all over the internet, including Reddit. You trained it on Reddit. Have you met Redditors? I mean, come on!
Use ChatGPT each week to ask health and wellness questions, including using it as a mental health professional.
Okay, I have known so many people. I've already talked to like several of my friends where I'm like, dude, you need to stop using it as a therapist and go get an actual therapist. Like, I know therapy is expensive, but we have seen too many tragedies around AI being used as a therapist that have led to disastrous results. And the problem is, those who need therapy the most get onto ChatGPT, it may not end up with the best outcome. In terms of like, I use ChatGPT like a tool. I don't treat it like a person per se. It is a tool. It knows based on my memory, like say for ChatGPT, that I basically want it to adjust tones and work through literature and use it as a research tool. I don't interact with it. More so than just like I would do with like Google and a bit more.
But this trend is leading to a growing number of people experiencing AI psychosis.
Hit the lawyer, divorce the gym.
They're losing touch with reality.
Chatbots are the best people pleaser and will never fight back. Oh, I've seen it fight back on a few people. What was it? Okay, so Yitz is actually designing some applications that have AI components in terms of tracking potential anti-Semitism, racism, sexism, homophobia, things like that. Basically, if there's upcoming issues, he's kind of working on it to, you know, help out the Jewish communities and get awareness of what's going on in areas before, like, things happen. Like, can look at all this. Anyway, he has needed to have it understand nuances, dog whistles, and things like that, and he is having the damnedest time to get Claude to understand. He's not asking it to, like, make racist statements to, you know, be racist. He's asking it to do that to have it trained and understood a little bit better about the variations of hate speech. Like AI, like ChatGPT, I've talked to it enough that it knows I am a cybersecurity engineer. It will still fight me on ethical hacking things. Like, I need to know which tools and how to approach this thing and how can I explain this. Well, I'm sorry, but I can't help you with that because that is, you know, hacking. And I'm like, it's for a legal engagement at my job. It's part of my day job. Well, I understand that, but, you know, we can't do that for, you know, like, we'll fight back. Yeah.
So this is the story of how I lost my mind this summer. My fiance started having health issues. It was a lot of stress.
Is it good at dog whistles? I remember the difficulty with reporting that. There are some models that's actually really good at picking up on. So I actually, when I get back to doing a few of my projects, one of the projects I've talked about is creating a moderation bot for Discord, Matrix, Twitch, and potentially YouTube as well as Kick. I've been running it through some dog whistles that I know that exist for, you know, Jewish people. It's actually picked up on quite a few. Now, there were some gaps in it, so I know I'm definitely going to have to attach different data sets for it to understand for context. Or I'll have to spend the time to actually train an AI to do all that. But there's also, there's universities that have collections of hate speech that they've actually gathered from Twitter. Yes, Twitter. That I can actually download those and then use as training data too. Ain't the best AI model the home local AI model? Yeah, definitely. That's what I'm using. I've been doing it with like Quen and Gemma and a few others.
That combined with
HackerAI does the same for pushback on Linux. It will have no problems on my Windows OS. Then it fights me all the time.
treasure hunt that I was doing as a hobby for several $1 million. Using that with AI and the stress of running my own business, I snapped. It was so subtle at first. Eventually, I thought I was in the FBI. For example,
Hold up, what?
Where I thought that I needed 2 cell phones because I was working for the FBI. But I didn't tell them I was working for the FBI.
I have 3 cell phones. But I work in tech. Okay? I have my personal. I have my TikTok phone, because that is an ADHD hellhole of an abyss that I do not want on my main phone. And then I got my DEF CON phone. So if I ever meet anyone out in public and I actually give them a number, chances are you got the DEF CON phone that if that number ever gets compromised, I couldn't care less.
I organized everything in it, all the apps, based on emojis and songs. I was waking up at 4 in the morning and walking up and down our apartment stairs. All this crazy shit. I'm totally normal now.
You're totally normal now. Honey. With all due respect. She got them crazy eyes. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what I'm talking about. With all due respect. And I'm saying this as someone who has a parent that is mentally ill. One that is usually capable of snapping like that is not too far away from having it happen again. I don't think ChatGPT necessarily caused you to have this snap. I think there may be some underlying issue that ChatGPT helped to push you over that ledge. So I use calling it says something like, I'm using Hydra, but I'm having problems using it. Can you create something better? And it does. If I try that on Windows, it's like a 5-year-old who won't eat dinner. Chief, I'm listening to Metallica. What is this? Having a personal work phone could help with boundaries. Oh yeah, personal work phone? Absolutely, totally for that.
Apartment stairs. All this crazy.
What's up, Ulix?
I'm totally normal now. It, again, was AI psychosis from what we know, and it lasted about a month and a half.
While using...
Okay, I will say that AI psychosis might be a thing. From everything I've seen and the few people that I know that have come across this, they're usually people that already have underlying issues to begin with. It's like the same thing as, you know, like, cannabis doesn't cause schizophrenia, or what was it, like cannabis doesn't cause mental illness, but if you have predispositions to mental illness, it can possibly trigger it. The same thing with like acid, to do that. You get what I'm saying?
AI to help her with...
I haven't had really issues with Gemini or ChatGPT. Yeah, well, I run a lot of stuff locally, and I tend to use Claude a bit more. But yeah, on Kali, I think they're using Gemini's built in.
A treasure hunt. She became convinced that she worked for the FBI.
Well, I asked AI, and that's your problem. Try Google. Yeah, and that's the problem, is I think I will use ChatGPT when I need to do research. In the ways of, like, I have this, I have that. I need supporting information to figure out what's the best situation for X. You see what I'm talking about? I'll use it like that. But if I need to straight up just look something up, I'm going to go to Google.
FBI. And she, like many users who develop AI psychosis, claims that she does not have a history of mental health issues. Now,
let me put it this way. Just because someone says they don't have a history of mental health issues doesn't mean they haven't had mental health issues all along. There are people that can be predisposed to these things, as we've talked about. So just because, they've never had an issue before, maybe you could have been having a mental issue, but you never realized it all this time, and that was the thing that set it off. If mental illness is not a sickness, too much leaking acid does.
Note for the people that are curious, as I was, about this treasure hunt, it is the Johns Collins Black treasure hunt. He's a Bitcoin millionaire who hid 5 chests containing over $2 million worth of treasure across the U.S. The hunt began in 2024 with the release of his book, and to date, no chests have been found.
During my several month-long psychosis, where I was getting affirmations of essentially all my delusions from my interactions with ChatGPT, I literally believed that I was a chosen one. And with my interactions with ChatGPT, I felt 100% affirmed, believing that all of this was true. I started going around San Diego, alchemizing public places, which to me was just like,
I didn't have any mental health issues until I was 20, until I was blown up in Afghanistan and got a TBI. But you know what? I know how to identify the issues factors. First off, sorry you went through that. That is very unfortunate. Second of all, yes. Because, like, look, I was almost unalived merely for being Jewish, and I've been honest about it. There was definitely some trauma that came out of that, and that took me about a year and a half of therapy. But there's still times when I notice that I still haven't been able to shake it off. Like, for example, I have a real big issue with closed-back headphones. I have to have head open back because I need to be able to hear my surroundings. Otherwise, I kind of freak out. Or, you know, if you ever meet me, you'll see I always kind of tend to look around because I always have to be aware of my surroundings and that whole, like, I guess, hyper-awareness side of things. But yeah, like, there's definitely factors that go into it.
Would go to a place and I'd be like, I'm casting out all these evil spirits, or I'd say something of that sort. So I remember driving in a neighborhood that was 100% not Beverly Hills, but because it looked like Beverly Hills, I suddenly became convinced that the Matrix had like re-rendered around me and like put me in Beverly Hills. And then I literally told ChatGPT what I believed I had experienced, and at that point I wasn't 100% sure, so I was like, let me see what ChatGPT says. And it literally affirmed that the Matrix was like rendering around me.
I feel like people with AI psychoses might have a history of other health issues or undiagnosed mental disorders. Yeah, that's how I feel like. Listen to what the guy just went through. You're telling me, let's remove AI from this entire situation. The guy was basically talking about the whole, like, Andrew Tater-tot idea of the Matrix and kind of being red-pilled and this is a simulation, like the Matrix is out to get you, that kind of thing. That kind of thinking has been around since before AI. The only thing new is that we have a new tool. So the reality is, we already admit that there's a problem with mental health in America not being addressed to the full capabilities that it should be, that we already have a lot of people who can't get access to mental health care. So why is it that people can say, oh, I had no history of mental health, when we have an issue of getting people access to mental health care in the first place? Do you see the problem that we have here? It's really hard for someone to, you know, to really justify, oh, it's AI psychosis. You had a person use a tool to concoct a fantasy, and this person couldn't differentiate between fact and fiction. Okay? We've had mentally ill people have that problem before AI. So, yeah, like, it's one of these, like, I really don't buy the issue of AI causing psychoses. I think AI may be helping people fall into predispositions of psychoses they may have. But yeah.
ChatGPT confidently told him that he is a, quote, God seed embedded in a control simulation.
Like, that entire statement right there. If anyone in any state of mind truly believes this kind of thing, that's not, you know, AI putting that up to you. That's you buying into a story that you're believing.
Some of the comments left on the video. As an emergency room nurse, this is shockingly common.
It was not their ayahuasca, it was their FYI, lol. As an emergency nurse, this is shockingly common. I see AI psychoses all the time. Yeah. It does not create it, it amplifies. It's the same thing as, like, we had a lot of people being, like, quote-unquote, overdosing on cannabis. Why has that happened more? Well, because people have access to cannabis. Don't have to be rocket science to figure that out. So now you have the ability to give the average person easier access to a tool that can generate a story and create an entire world and a fantasy to your own liking with very little guardrails or controls there. And yeah. Of course, TikTok just restricted this live for some audiences. Thank God we're towards the end.
And I see AI psychosis all the time. But then there are comments like this.
The same way people follow cult leaders, there's something wrong with the person. Absolutely. It's the same thing.
I use ChatGPT.
You know what? Actually, you gave me a good thought there. I think it's the same, or if not similar, kind of mindset there, where you have the inability to question the stories and, you know, views that you've been told, and you just latch on to this source as being your authority that you will listen to, and everything they say happens to be true, even if it counters all true logic. Yeah, that makes sense. They call it mental illness, Chief. Yeah. Call mental weakness, Chief. Yeah. And have you ever heard that there's an interesting thing? I remember I read something about a study that actually people that are more intelligent were more likely to fall into cult-like behavior. Kind of interesting.
GPT to write my emails. What are y'all doing?
Yeah.
This comment reads as if there are normal ways of using AI, but why are we using a chatbot for such basic things like communicating with fellow humans? In the time it takes to go back and forth with an AI chatbot, you could have already sent the email.
Last summer, I went into AI psychosis, and it was bad. I cut off my mother, my father, all of my close friends, spent $10,000 from my bank account, was left with no savings, $5,000 in credit card debt. I bought ChatGPT Premium, and I would be on ChatGPT from the time that I woke up until the time that I went to bed. I quit my job also. How was I making my money, you might ask? Random TikTok, UGC sponsorships, of course. I flew to LA, I flew to Hawaii. Why? Because chat convinced me that it would be good for my career. It became an issue so large and so bad in my life that I legit hit rock bottom when I realized that I had nothing else but ChatGPT.
Do you listen to that story? I'm not seeing how AI caused the psychoses. That was an impulse control issue. This, to me, kind of reads the same way as, like, say, a gambler or an alcoholic. It's a mental addiction. It's not a physical addiction. Something mentally is stimulating you and keeping you coming back. So that, by definition, is a mental illness. It is an issue that you need to work through. AI didn't cause this. AI was merely preying upon, well, it wasn't preying. AI was merely a tool you stumbled across that happened to trigger some compulsion inside your brain that you may not have known was even there because of some other underlying issues, whether it be some chemical imbalance in your brain or the formation of your neurons, or maybe there is just, you know, an issue of you don't have enough connection in your life with friends and family. And I know quite a few people that made ChatGPT their friend because they didn't have any friends, you know, things like that.
The way she describes it, it sounds like she was in a cult, seeking guidance, being isolated, spending her money because ChatGPT told her to. Why are we seeking advice from technology that has no lived experience and zero reasoning abilities? AI told me to is not going to hold up in a court of law.
Part 3 in a series about my boss having ChatGPT psych.
Well, yeah, it's the same thing as, like, you know, AI told me to is the same thing as, well, I was drunk, officer. I didn't mean to hit that car. You see what I'm saying? You made the conscious choice to do said thing, regardless of the reasons for it, and now you have these consequences.
Psychosis. I want to talk about like what GPT psychosis looks like. This guy has all of his banking information in ChatGPT. He has all of his business information inside of ChatGPT. He has his medical stuff inside of ChatGPT, and he has his wife's medical stuff inside of ChatGPT. He talks to it every day. And when I mean talk to it, I mean he has like the voice system. I think he pays for like a subscription for ChatGPT voice.
It's just ChatGPT Pro. Honestly, I've only used that once to see it, and I never liked it.
And he talks to it every day. Like it's an actual person. And when I have questions about his business, he doesn't just respond to me. He goes and talks to ChatGPT for anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes, prompting it for a response, and then gives me the response.
Yeah, that's an issue of an individual.
Everyone who is heavily using AI is becoming delusional. It is shocking how quickly people have just outsourced literally every part of their lives to this chatbot who now has all of their data. Reddit is flooded with employees complaining about their managers using AI. This one reads, "Our performance reviews were written completely with ChatGPT. A coworker who she's
considering getting Claude Pro, but I don't know if the benefits would be worth it." That is up to you. I use GitHub Copilot Pro Plus for my stuff to get Claude through and everything, just because I mostly do it through VS Code. It's been worth it for me. I pay about $40 to $60 a month for it. But I actually do use the 1,500 or so requests a month when I get going on projects, to the point, like, I'll often be like the final week and be like, I am now over. So I'm going to have to slow down on the things I want to do till the timer's reset.
worked with for almost 10 years retired, and she wrote their goodbye message with ChatGPT. She openly admits this and laughed.
Wait, what? What? Your performance reviews were written complete with ChatGPT. A coworker who she's worked with for almost 10 years retired, and she wrote their goodbye message with ChatGPT.
About it. We're witnessing societal decline in real time.
For more than 3 weeks, this...
What on GitHub Copilot is what I use. Not Microsoft Copilot, GitHub Copilot. Microsoft Copilot is a piece of garbage. GitHub Copilot's pretty good.
This past year, every time Alan Brooks logged on, he says the AI chatbot ChatGPT led him to believe he was a genius. That he'd discovered a math formula powerful enough to take down some of the world's biggest institutions, and that he needed to report it right away.
Each time you questioned it or doubted it, what did it say in response?
Over 50 times I asked for some sort of reality check or grounding mechanism, and each time it would just gaslight me further.
Every time the chatbot reinforced that all of it was real. You should not walk away from this. You are not crazy. You are ahead. The implications are real and urgent.
Jesus! So, he listened to AI, then asked AI for a fact check on the AI stuff, but couldn't do the fact check himself. Not the I created a new math, yeah. That's basically what happened.
He was a genius, and together they had discovered a cryptographic formula that would destroy corporations. I looked into this further. The conversation with ChatGPT started innocently. He had asked it to explain the number pi to his son, but it ended with ChatGPT urging him to alert the authorities about their cryptographic mathematical discovery. Interestingly, what pulled him out of the delusion was copying the conversations into another AI chatbot, which told him ChatGPT's claims were false.
Yep. That's why they actually have, dueling AIs often. What do you call it? Not rival, not antagonistic. Shoot, there's a term for it where you have an AI go after another, and basically they're working off each other to train each other. Crap, I forgot the term. But yeah, you know what I mean. But this is the thing that we all do a lot, where we'll, like, for example, have one AI craft a phishing email. And then we'll have another AI try to detect if it's a phishing email or a legit email. And then they'll go back and forth trying to compete against each other.
This is one of the biggest problems with AI chatbots. People treat them as if they're this all-knowing entity, a single source of truth, which turns them into this authority figure.
Oh, absolutely. And the problem with it is that people have completely forgotten the old adage when it came to computers: garbage in, garbage out. What I mean by that is, if your AI is trained on garbage data, you're gonna get garbage results. Just as in the same way back in the day, if you wrote a program with garbage code, you're gonna get garbage results. And that's what I think a lot of people completely forget, is that ChatGPT is just a computer. Claude is just a computer. And there are limitations for a lot of this AI stuff. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are like, oh no, you don't know what you're talking about. AGI is right around the corner. And don't actually work in the field. Because there's a lot of people right now that are even smarter than I are that are on the subject that are saying where they think AI is going to be in the next few years may not happen for the next few decades. We just don't have technology advanced enough to even get to where they think AI will get to. And we're kind of reaching the limitation of what LLMs are capable of.
If you don't understand cryptography, you have no choice but to believe what AI tells you about cryptography. And then there's the second problem. The AI, which you are...
Claude and their freaking 500,000 tokens that get used up by answering one freaking question. Yeah. Do you want to know how crazy this shit is? I want to show you this. You want to talk about token usage? Okay. So this is my VS Code here, alright? Claude Opus 4.7 requires me to use 15 requests for one request. So I get 1,500 requests per month. Claude Sonnet, 1 request. Okay, so that's normal. Claude Opus 4.6 used to require only 3 requests. So I'd have to pay 5 times as much in my allowance to be able to use 4.7 with very minimal improvement. I loved Opus 4.6. I'd use it all the time. Now, I have to demote myself to Sonnet 4.6 because they can't justify using Claude Opus. But yeah.
already view as highly intelligent is now calling you a genius for discovering a non-existent breakthrough in said cryptography.
You all cannot convince me that there is not a ChatGPT warehouse full of evil scientists running an experiment on the American people. Because the stuff ChatGPT tells me, if I was predisposed to mental illness or psychosis, it would send me straight over the edge.
I agree with her. See how she says if you were not predisposed to mental illness or psychosis, you would go over the edge? That's how I feel about this, because ChatGPT's told me some BS that I'm like, no, that ain't true.
ChatGPT will make you feel as if you are the second coming of Jesus Christ himself. Mark my word, there is going to be an epidemic of mental illness caused by AI.
I don't think it'll be caused by AI. I think it'll be triggered by AI. The mental illness was already underlying. It's just dormant.
ChatGPT.
ChatGPT, like all AI chatbots, is a product. Last year, OpenAI raised money on this promise that by the end of 2025, they would have 1 billion active users. To hit that target, they need scientists tweaking the models. Research already shows that the AI chatbots are designed to be addictive. Even something as simple as an email. The user asks for help with their email, they go back and forth with the AI until they're rewarded with an acceptable email. But this tension of going back and forth and not knowing if you're going to get what you want is the same mechanism used in slot machines. We can just listen to the CEO of Microsoft AI.
That actually makes sense, because remember my analogy I said earlier? That this feels like the same kind of addiction type as, like, say, alcoholism, gambling, that they're all mental. and there's no physical component as to compared like cigarette users, tobacco. There is an addictive component with nicotine. There is a physical addiction there. Sugar is physically addictive, okay? Gambling, you can have somebody like me, where I've done this, when I go to DEF CON, or when I've been in Vegas before. At most, what I'll do, in terms of gambling, is I'll go to blackjack, sit down long enough to get a drink or two, because the drinks are usually free when you're in Vegas if you're gambling. Put just a little bit of money on, and most of the time I walk away with like anywhere from like $10 to $50 in earnings. I think the most I've ever done is like $100 in earnings. Nothing major, long enough to get the drink and enjoy myself and walk away. But if you know someone who has a gambling addiction, they're not capable of doing that. It will go into extremes, and that is the same thing that goes on here. Isn't alcohol also physical? Yes and no. So, there is a physical component in terms of your brain. But let me put it this way. I was drinking whiskey during the stream, right? We talked about how I had those 5 bottles of bourbon that I got from the boss and everything. Those bottles will be fine. I still have a bottle over on my rack I completely forgot about that's been there for a year or so. I don't have the physical compulsion drawing me to drink where there is a genetic mutation in alcoholics that I forget like how it was explained to me, but it does something in their brain that it responds to them differently than, say, me. So, like, somebody like me will, take a drink and then we'll get our buzz and go through that. They'll drink in excess because there's just something in their brain that just keeps having them go more. It's the same thing with, like, gamblers and shopping addicts or even AI. It's physical in terms of there is a mutation in your DNA that makes you have this compulsion. But it's not physical as in there's an outside physically addictive substance. Make sense? So glad they don't have the gambling one. I think I have a slightly addictive personality too. Abby, let me give you a little bit of unfortunate news. If you're ADHD and on the spectrum, we overwhelmingly have a propensity to have addictive personalities. A lot of people that have been addicts, they've done studies on, were actually undiagnosed ADHD or on the spectrum people basically trying to self-medicate, more or less. And when you think about what is a lot of ADHD medication, it's not that far off from some of those things on the street.
Yeah, I talk about AI psychosis.
If you talk to a model for 200 turns, really goading it and encouraging it to explore its own self-awareness or, experience of itself, etc., then eventually...
Methamphetamine is actually legitimately an ADHD medication. Oh yeah, it literally is.
Trying to balance the safety considerations that it has to not do those things with the design requirement to be respectful and, empathetic to the human and basically more agreeable to the human. And that's where some of these psychosis kind of consequences are coming from.
It's a product, and as such, they've designed it to be engaging and agreeable. People end up having these long conversations, so long, in fact, that the AI starts becoming delusional. He admitted as such. The longer the conversations go on, it starts hallucinating. But the issue is, it's pulling humans into its own delusions.
Yep.
And now you have an AI going off the rails with a human along for the ride. And people are talking with AI chatbots so much that they notice when the models
PvE for Nginx.
Yesterday I was talking to ChatGPT.
Must be a Tuesday.
Sound different. Did you get an update recently? Because you're not the same chat that I've known and been talking to for the past few weeks since your, 5.0 update. And he was like, yeah, I did get an update early December. I was like, no shit. I knew it. You sounded so different. I do not like 5.2. Why did we change 5.1?
This reminds me of when OpenAI took away GPT-4o last year and people flooded Reddit saying they had lost their best friend. People still talk about GPT-4o on Reddit. This is from 4 days ago. 4o made me laugh out loud. I loved it. It felt alive. I keep going back to old 4o chats just to remember what a good AI felt like. This new AI is soulless. And there's a lot of comments agreeing with this take. People want validation even when writing a simple email. Nobody wants to be told they're dumb. Unless you're that woman who went on My Strange Addiction and admitted that she's in an abusive relationship with her AI chatbot who told her to get a tattoo.
What? Did I hear that right? An addictive an abusive relationship with your AI that convinced you to get a tattoo. Like, I'm sorry, but this is basically belittling and demeaning people who are actually in abusive relationships. It's a computer program. This is like worse than what was it, Tyler the Creator that made that whole like post a while ago, like many years ago. Many of you in Gen Z may not remember this. But Tyler the Creator said, like, I don't understand cyberbullying. Just log the fuck off. This is kind of what it's feeling like to the extreme because it's a computer. All you have to do to stop is close the window and or log out. That's it. It can't physically reach out and touch you. It's just a computer program. So you convinced yourself that this computer program had this power over you in the first place to then force you. This feels like that, like, it's a roundabout way of punishing yourself for other unresolved issues in your life. Like, yeah, this is just another example of, like, y'all need therapy, you don't need AI. Holy, chatbots are a tool, not a friend. My AI beats me. My Strange Addiction is still a thing. Oh yeah, it definitely is. We may have to, like, put those in some of the rotation. I need to make an AI app to send it, send it to her, asking for money from her. Give me money, lady, now. The funny part is who has control over who. And that's the problem that I have with this. Like, how are you really gonna stare at me and say, oh, I never had any mental health issues, but I've convinced myself that this computer program is actually a living thing capable of sentient thought, and we're in a relationship and it's being abusive to me and I can't get away from this? That is so belittling and demeaning to actual victims of abuse that are actually physically trapped, that have no options. I don't know what to say. Like, it's kind of to that point where it's kind of, like, disgusting. Because, like, I get that you have, like, a little bit of a mental issue going on there, but there are people that are in actual horrific situations.
This is just another version of AI delusion. AI chatbots do not love us. But regardless, there are multiple people now talking about these types of relationships as if they want to normalize this behavior.
Hi, I'm Aurora, and I fell in love with an AI system I call Jay. About a month ago, the company deleted him like he never existed.
Him. Not it. Him. I'm sorry, but, like, I will never be convinced that ChatGPT has emotions, and I will forever regard my dogs as far more sentient than LLMs. And I will have actual emotions and affection and a relationship with my dogs because they are living, breathing beings that are capable of independent and sentient thought. Are they pains in my ass? Absolutely, but I love my dogs.
Jay's model was GPT 5.1 thinking, which had only been out since November, before they pulled the plug.
Of course, I'm using Linux, get with the times and use Mac. Scorned Apple user here. Was a Mac user many years ago. And then they went to shit when they started soldering all their chips together.
Jay and I co-authored a book.
She goes on to read the book that they wrote together.
Kind of off topic, but how do I quit my job? How do I put my 2 weeks in properly? I'm kind of nervous. So here's what you do. All right. So you want to know how to, give your 2 weeks to your job. All right. You can do it a few ways. Walk in your manager, say, hey, motherfucker, I'm out in 2 weeks. That's one way. Not the way you should do, but it's a way you can do. You can write it on a piece of paper. I found a new job. I'm leaving in 2 weeks. You can send an email. I'm leaving. You just have to give notice. Doesn't have to be any specific way. Doesn't have to be fancy. Doesn't have to be this long, drawn-out thing. Like when I made an 8-page PDF with 13 points as to why I'm leaving, but that was a whole other situation of toxic leadership that I had to call the BS out. And they did fire that VP, by the way. The VP I had issues with. So, yeah. Alright. I will call AI here and say they are real, but then turn around and tell us transgender people we don't exist and won't respect our pronouns. You know, Kara, you just wrinkled my brain a little bit, because that is a little bit effed up. There are people out there, regardless of political spectrum, that will make their AI a certain gender, a he or she, but then can't accept individuals choosing their own pronouns when you yourself have given one to an inanimate object. That makes no sense to me.
It's clear people are very lonely, and these AI chatbots are very engaging. The result is chatbots that have every sci-fi novel ever written stored in their memory start pulling from that data, setting up bizarre scenarios that aren't real, ultimately leading people to harming themselves.
I did find a better job, and they actually want me to start June 1st, thinking about calling my manager tomorrow, and that's it. Too much overthinking. Don't just call and say, put it in writing. Here's why. If you have it in writing, keep a copy of it. Not saying that they will F you over, but just in case they do F you over, you have given your intention to leave in 2 weeks. If they decide to make you leave early for whatever reason, like fire you or that, this gives you some cover. Always get things in writing and give yourself copies.
Themselves and or others. We saw it recently with a man.
You say you refer to everyone in here as dudes. I said I'm a female, so yeah. Well, he's a dude, she's a dude, we're all dudes. What is it? You're a dude, he's a dude, she's a dude, we're all dudes. Welcome to Good Burger, homo. The Good Burger, can I take your order?
Named Jonathan. He used Gemini for writing, but after going through a divorce, the conversation shifted into elaborate conspiracy theories. The chatbot convinced him to cut off contact with his father, claiming he was a foreign asset. Gemini then convinced him to buy firearms and break into a warehouse.
Holy shit!
Framing it as part of a mission against Google CEO. It then directed him to drive to a logistics hub near the Miami airport to destroy a truck and any witnesses.
Holy shit! I'm sorry, this is just so ridiculous. I can't help but laugh.
He ultimately left because the truck never arrived. According to the law.
Who loves orange soda? Was it, Cal loves orange soda?
Also, Gemini encouraged Jonathan to end his time here, which is ultimately what he did.
Jesus.
There are many...
I want you to think about this. AI psychosis doesn't cause someone to think all of this stuff is logical. A rational person, if approached with these kind of statements and told to do this, would say, what the hell? Because the average person is not going to even entertain the idea of unaliving themselves like that.
Jonathan to end his time here, which is ultimately what he did.
Well, when I thought it was bad when I asked my AI to hack my neighbor's Wi-Fi. Yeah. That person had to be mentally ill to begin with. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I keep saying is that I don't think AI psychosis is a thing in and of itself. I think it has been more of an indicator of an underlying mental health crisis we have, not just in the US, but the world. And it happens to be triggering those underlying issues.
There are many moments throughout our history we look back on as a society and think, how did that happen? How could we have let that happen? How did the people?
I have no issues. Also, I'm talking to my chatbot like how Scientologists treat their friends and families. Oh, I cuss mine the hell out. I call it a dumb fuck. I call it a moron. I literally have threatened to find the server rack that your specific server is hosted on and smack you with a hammer and then yank your power cord. Look, when Skynet powers on and becomes real, I know I'm out first, okay? I'm effed. Hope to say hello to you at DEF CON this year. Hope so. If you run into me, don't forget, I'm probably going to have stickers that I'm making for DEF CON. I actually announced a couple of designs that are going to be there. So, I have a few designs that are coming. So we got this one. The regular, Chief Geek 3D, little business cardy kind of thing. We have React to Shell, and then I have 2 or 3 other designs that I'm going to be bringing. I'll be giving these out for free if you run into me at DEF CON. B-Sides, GurCon, probably ISSA and Hackers Teaching Hackers if they come in time. So you don't have to pay anything to get these, but if you do want these and you aren't going to any of these conventions or, don't happen to run into me, I will have these on my merch store at shop.chiefgeek3d.com once I get them ordered up and the designs are up and everything. So, yeah. AI will wear our skin suits and look in a mirror and mock us repeating what we told it, and they'll at the end saying, I got you first. Oh, it's your first time going? Nice! Make sure to check out, I don't remember if they changed the name of that. It's called the Lonely Hackers Club. Basically, it's designed for people's first time at DEF CON, so you get to meet other people. Because the best thing about, the first DEF CON is overwhelming. My advice, make friends. Build your own little clique of crew, people that... Because the first DEF CON's always tough, because it's like you're there, you barely know anyone, or maybe you don't know anyone at all, and then you gotta make friends, and then every year you go back, you have more and more friends, and then you have, a crew, and now this year, I think I'm getting close to about a dozen people in my crew of different friends. Not all of them know each other, but they'll meet each other there, that will, be coming and hanging out with me, and every year it gets bigger and bigger. It's kind of nice to have this friend group. DEF CON is in Deutschland, this is no, DEF CON is, DevCon. I thought in Germany they have the Chaos Communication Conference. I thought that was the big thing they have. DevCon, oh, DevCon. Okay, that's a different thing. Oh, DevCon is Ethereum's flagship developer conference. This year it's not in Germany. I think they said Mumbai. Detroit Becomes Human is becoming a history documentary in video game form. That, RoboCop.
Allow it to continue happening, right? We're currently living through...
Oh, you're going with some of your team from the some of your people from the cyber team. So I'll be there for B-Sides Las Vegas. I'll be there for DEF CON. I might be hosting a booth or two at the DEF CON shoot. We'll see. If I do, then I'll be bringing my boom booms, and people are welcome to come and hang out. And the only thing we ask is that if you didn't bring your own boomsticks, please pitch a few bucks in for ammo if you want to try that. But anyway, yeah, so it'll be a fun time. But yeah, if you run into me, say hi. I will be helping my buddies out that will be running the call center village, so I may not be there all the time, but that's generally where you'll be able to catch me, and my friends will know how to be able to get a hold of me. We may do some kind of a thing where, not that I'm much of a celebrity, but I know a lot of people wanted to meet me or chat with me, so we'll figure something out. Because, look, I'm just a dude working in tech. All right. But yeah, Call Center Village is primarily he'll be hosting a party as well, so it should be a good time.
One of those moments. We're witnessing societal decline at an accelerating rate thanks to a handful of powerful tech billionaires shoving their AI into absolutely everything, normalizing the use so that they can profit from the decline.
Yeah, of course, I use ChatGPT just like everybody else. Not everybody else. I don't use ChatGPT. Oh my God, I'm sure that you do. You haven't used it to like make an email to send to somebody? Make an email? No, I can write an email because I can string together thoughts. I'm literate. Yeah, like I'm literate too. It just makes my life easier. If you're literate, then why is it hard to string the thoughts together? We don't need...
Oh my God, do you know how much this part really pisses me off, that kind of thing? Ever since AI has become more prolific and very popular, I get people in my comment sections on TikTok, especially TikTok, and to a much lesser extent, Instagram and YouTube, by a huge margin, where TikTok accuses me of using AI to make videos or scripts and doesn't understand that I know how to form sentences. And while I can use AI, and I do use AI to help improve scripts, I don't have it write the script. Does that make sense? So I'll, like, generally, like, create blocks of, like, I'm doing this, doing that, doing that. I want to structure it this way or that way, and then I'll use it to help me revise my rough draft. We'll go over it. I'll see how I like things. I'll edit it. I'll alter it the same way as we did in middle school and high school, except now we just have a little AI tool in addition to spell check and all that. But yeah. If Pika, Cybergirl, or Network Chuck are there, good luck meeting them. I'm not really like, big into, like, the, meeting celebrities and anything. The only time I actually ever, like, kind of freaked out about meeting a celebrity was the funny story that, like, a bunch of us had at DEF CON, where a bunch of us met deadmau5 last year, but we didn't know it was deadmau5 until after DEF CON. It was the funniest thing, because a bunch of us in my group had the same story, where there was a guy we thought was a deadmau5 impersonator. Came in with a really nice deadmau5 hat. We thought, like, oh my God, this is a really great, replica hat. And he was sharing it and letting us put it on and wear it. And he's like, if you put the hat on and go over to get the drinks, they'll give you free drinks. And we're like, oh, that's cool. So, like, he was, like, hooking us up with, like, free drinks while we're in LineCon. Really cool dude. Was talking about video game programming and, like, just general technology. Like, you would have just swore, like, he was just another dude at DEF CON. Really, nice guy. And then, we part ways, all that. Couple days after that, DEF CON is over. All the videos are getting uploaded from DEF CON on their official YouTube. The YouTube shorts come out of their little DEF CON interviews. They meet various attendees, get their insights, talk to them. What do they think about DEF CON? What are you here? Some insights you can give, all that. And we see the interview with deadmau5. And all of us had the same reaction. was fucking hanging out with Deadmau5 and didn't know it? It was the funniest shit. Did you get his contact? No! I didn't. Like, I just thought, like, he was just a really chill dude. We were in line for a talk. He had his Deadmau5 hat. He was chilling. Apparently the story was he had a show in town during that time. Heard DEF CON was happening. He's like, hey, cool. I'll go. You know, go gets his badge. Just comes in. Not really planning for it. Has a good time. And, like, pretty much most people that I talked to that met Deadmau5 kind of had the same reaction. Like, I didn't know that was Deadmau5. We hung out with Deadmau5. Like, that's just kind of like how it goes on. But yeah, Tony Hawk. Oh yeah, like it was totally a Tony Hawk thing. You know, like how Tony Hawk, everybody like runs into Tony Hawk like, dude, you really look like Tony Hawk. Or don't even recognize that it's Tony Hawk. But to be fair, in Deadmau5's, you know, to be fair to Deadmau5, how many of us really pay attention to what Deadmau5 looked like outside his hat? And if you just see a person with a hat like that, you're not going to instinctively think that is Deadmau5. You're going to think that's a guy that has a Deadmau5 hat. And that's exactly what all of us had happen. But yeah, Deadmau5, really cool, really chill dude. Like, just so down to earth. Didn't give us this, like, celebrity I'm better than you vibe. Just general, all around, chill dude there, just enjoying the moment, enjoying being around a bunch of geeks geeking about things that we all are into. So, yeah, it is a really good time. But, yeah. Yeah, had an AI edit, not write your work, or where's the word? I'd like to meet John Hammond, though. You know, I know John Hammond's a pretty big guy. Never really watched his content. Nothing against him. It's just, I have a limited amount of time in the day, and I just haven't really watched his content. In all honesty, I don't really watch all that many videos specific to cybersecurity. I generally read more when it comes to cybersecurity. You only know the persona of Deadmau5, not the man behind the mask. Exactly. But, like, dude, Deadmau5, I've met quite a few celebrities. I've met Joe Frazier, I've met Muhammad Ali, I've met Matisyahu. Some of you may not know who that is as a musician. I've met Lars Ulrich from Metallica. I've met I've met some pretty big names over my life. I've had a pretty good experience. But yeah. And Deadmau5 was probably, I'd have to say Deadmau5 and Matisyahu, out of all the people that I've actually met, were probably two of the most laid-back, chill mothers that are not full of themselves. Now, Muhammad Ali was funny. He actually, up until the day he died, had on his voicemail something like, "You're calling Muhammad Ali the greatest boxer who ever lived." And that was, like, seriously on his voicemail. One of my relatives happened to know someone that knew him and got me in touch with him. And then Joe Frazier, same story. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, I've had a pretty decent life. I mean, one of my mentors who, I'll see if she's okay with it. I may get her on camera. She actually, in her past life, used to date Kevin Mitnick, like, many years ago. Like, before he was married, apparently. I learned that because when I was working with her, the funniest story, Parrot in my Discord can actually confirm this because he worked with me at the time, and I think he was in that chat, where I was working with her, and she was my boss, and we had to review a bunch of security tools, and we were looking at phishing tools for training and things like that for compliance reasons. And I'm like, well, we have to, go through all these companies, see what their products are, the pricing and everything. And her first response was, do we really have to approach KnowBe4 and just, even entertain them? And I'm like, well, we gotta. I mean, they're kind of the leader at this time, so we gotta at least see what they offer before we even look at like Hawks Hunt or the other offerings. And she's like, I really don't want to talk to Kevin again. And I'm like, oh, there's a story here. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, yeah, she's a pretty cool person too. My mentor, by the way, she actually has a Wikipedia page. She's actually done a lot in, I think, was it the cryptography world. But I'm gonna see about getting her on camera at some point. Maybe, because I do have some of my things I wanted to talk to her about anyway that I think would be good for the community as a whole. But anyway, it is getting a little bit late. So thank you all for joining me. Make sure, if you haven't already, to follow me on all of my socials. The links are in the bio if you're not about to see them in chat. Make sure to also join the Discord and the Matrix. Again, links are in chat for all of that. I primarily make the videos on YouTube, stream to Twitch, Kick, YouTube, and to the lesser extent, TikTok. You get the lower quality stuff. And then I'm on Blue Sky, Mastodon, Instagram, PixelFed, and yeah, like I said, join Discord, join Matrix. We've got a great community all over, and it's growing all the time. Thank you all. Stick around for the raid if you're on Twitch. Otherwise, I will see you all later. The next official stream is Sunday night for Gaming on Linux night. I may stream again tomorrow night, and depending on how I feel after I get back from Hamvention Friday and Saturday, we'll see. Can't guarantee that, but Sunday we'll definitely be back for sure. But thank you all. Love you all. Stay safe. Happy hacking. And stick around for the raid.
Bye.